Riding a 21-game home losing streak, Trey Ford and the Elks will have another shot at snapping it tonight. Now, the only problem, Zach Collaros and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are in town fresh off a monster win against the BC Lions. It's Thursday Night Football on TSN.
No losses, I don't do lipo. A few screws loose in the head, I'm a psycho. Promise you the bar, just as real as the bite though. Misunderstood, you can call me a typo. I shine hotter than the stars in the night though. Hate the who's, don't give me a title. Flipped in that set, so I don't worry the price though. Got scratched like mine, no, leave it to the tribal.
The reeling Elks desperately trying to turn it around.
This team is in a bad place right now.
Is this rock bottom for the franchise?
Careful not to get too close, I might just go.
Got it! He'll take it down to the 20, stays on his feet, and he's gone! Early bird special from the Bombers! Down the field again! And he's got it again! Touchdown!
50-14. Haymakers out of the gate.
This young Hick Crichton Trophy winner in the past. He's talented. He's a dual threat quarterback. He's making his first start this season. 1-2 as a career player in this league. This young man's got a big plate in front of him, Bill.
Back-to-back MOP Zach Collaros leads the league with almost 2,300 yards passing, 16 touchdowns, only 5 picks. Last week, he served notice that he wants to be an MOP hat trick winner.
Not many good things have been happening in elk country, but this guy has played pretty well over the last 3 games, averaging 85 yards and 4 catches. If I'm Trey Ford, I'm trying to find this man, Dylan Mitchell, as much as possible.
Second in the CFL with 8 sacks, leading the league with 9 pass knockdowns. Willie Jefferson looking to make Trey Ford's life absolutely miserable. As I mentioned, coming off that absolute domination of the BC Lions, looking to keep it rolling in Edmonton tonight. Hello, Canada. Welcome to Thursday Night Football on TSN. Jim Barker, Matt Donegan, Milt Stiegel as we get set for the Elks taking on the Blue Bombers. We'll get all their thoughts on this game in just a minute. But first, let us go to Edmonton and join our Ryan Rashog. And Ryan, obviously the big news, the changes for the Elks coming off the bye, and it starts with their QB, Trey Ford.
It does. It was kind of getting into that definition of insanity territory, wasn't it, for the Edmonton Elks, right? Same thing over and over, week after week. No results were changing. And so 2 significant changes made heading into this game against Winnipeg coming out of the bye week. Jarius Jackson takes over as offensive coordinator. And as you mentioned, Trey Ford, the young Canadian, gets the tap. He's had to be patient. Got a start last year, played well, then got hurt, and hasn't been able to work his way back up the depth chart until now. He's young, he's fast. This guy can scramble out of the pocket if he gets into trouble. The question is, how's the arm going to look? Jarius Jackson worked with him throughout the week. 2 of them developed a good relationship. He's young and excitable. As I said, he's had to be patient, and now he gets his chance. But the Bombers have proved themselves to be the alphas once again. It's not going to be easy, but listen, Kate, this team is desperate for something positive to happen. Expecting the streak to be snapped here tonight against this team, I don't know how realistic it is considering how strong the Bombers are, but any sort of positive momentum would be a step in the right direction, and that starts with Trey Ford in the offense, led by Jarius Jackson sitting up top, staying on the field more this game than they have on previous nights.
Well, Trey Ford is one of 4 quarterbacks to register a loss during Edmonton's historic 21-game home losing streak, making his 4th career start, first this season. He showed flashes when he started the Elks' final game last season. He passed for 242 yards, a touchdown in a loss to BC tonight. Ford faces one of the best defenses in the CFL, Winnipeg, who have won 4 of their last 5 games. We will give a lot of love, by the way, to Winnipeg's D and offense and O-line in a moment. But first, let us talk about these Elks. And it's going now to Trey Trey Ford, his 4th career start, first against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, coming in with monster momentum. I mean, this just seems like an impossible task, doesn't it, Matt?
It does, but young man doesn't know any different. He's just looking for an opportunity. He's been working hard for it. Was in the doghouse earlier this football season, on the practice roster, and here he finds himself making that start. He's going to embrace it and guarantee it. He's going to play to his strengths, and that's what you got to do when you're trying to figure out the football game, is play to your strengths. And we know this is his strength, is running the football. And if it's not there, pull it down and put pressure on that defense as best you can. And then that'll soften them up, and hopefully you'll be able to get some throws down the football field. What he did against Hamilton last year was beautiful. It was like watching somebody on a tightrope, and you're just kind of waiting for him to fall, but he never did. He played the game plan and played it out perfectly. He made the throws, and he made the plays with his legs. If he's going to have success tonight, he's going to have to do it just like he did last year in the win over Hamilton.
Well, this team has a lot more problems than just the quarterback position in Taylor Cornelius and just the offensive coordinator position with Steve McAdoo. This team has problems all across their offense. Their protection schemes have not been very good. They're going up against one of the best pass rushing, the league leader in sacks tonight. Brett Boyko has come in and playing right tackle and has struggled. And Kevin Mitchell as a runner's been fantastic, but as a protector, not quite as good. They've got to give this youngster some time, allow him to do some of the things that he's ready to do.
And there have been a lot of people wondering, why wasn't he given an opportunity? What took so long? Well, if you have to understand, if this team felt that he was going to give them the best opportunity to win, he would have been in there. But Chris Jones and his staff knew he wasn't going to give them the best chance. But now they're saying, okay, what do we have to lose? The other two guys couldn't get it done. Let's give this young man an opportunity. Let's hope he takes full advantage of it, but it's a difficult task. You're going against the best defense in the league right now, a great offense who's not going to allow you to be on the field that much, and as Matt mentioned, the thing he has going for him is his leg. He has to use his legs if he wants to have an opportunity to win this game. And if I'm Chris Jones, I'm going to allow him to play 2 games straight to see what he's going to do. There's not going to be any pressure for him to get taken out regardless how he plays. See what he can do in 2 games.
Do you think this was Chris Jones's decision or do you think he said to Jarius, who do you want a quarterback?
Interesting.
No, I think it's, Chris Jones is not going to allow anybody to make that final decision. You've been around Chris Jones. Come on.
Jarius Jackson's been the OC for what, 6 days now?
2 hours.
He didn't call the game. I think this is Chris Jones' decision, trying to make something happen, spark his football team, and give Trey an opportunity. The kid's hungry. We know that. This football team's hungry. The fan base is hungry. And they just got to go out there and see if they can't go toe-to-toe, one play at a time against the best in the league right now.
Well, we'll see if the changes were enough to somewhat contend against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight. By the way, did we not get the group text on the outfits this evening? I don't know what's going on.
What's going on?
I don't know. Let's get over to AK, who's probably dressed a lot better in his prop shop.
A couple of plays I love ahead of Thursday night football between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Elks. So Winnipeg's a huge betting favorite, 12.5 points on FanDuel. We know Winnipeg will be running the ball with regularity in the second half. Good news for Brady Oliveira. We're playing his over of rushing, in part because of the point spread and the expectation that the Bombers will be running up the score in the second half, and also because Edmonton has the worst run D in the CFL by a significant margin. The last 3 starting running backs to go up against the Elks went for more than 110 rush yards, including Oliveira in Week 7. I think the same applies tonight. Take the over for Oliveira. On the other side, we're on the under for Stephen Dunbar Jr., the receiver for the Edmonton Elks, in large part because Trey Ford takes over at quarterback for Edmonton. He is not adept as a downfield passing threat. I think you're going to see a lot of Trey Ford on the ground, a lot of Edmonton's run game. The pass game will suffer, especially considering how strong Winnipeg's pass rush is. The under for Dunbar, a pick to click ahead of Thursday night football.
Well, here's a great stat for Edmonton fans. Team's coming off a bye, 9-1 so far this season, so I'm saying they're to have a chance. Our picks for anytime touchdown scorers coming up next.
The Edmonton Elks select Trey Ford, quarterback, University of Waterloo.
This guy can be a playmaker not just at the U Sports level, but also at the CFL level. He is that good.
A touchdown pass for Trey Ford, his first in the Canadian Football League.
He's not a guy who looks like the lights are too bright or the stage is too big.
Looks down the field, deep shot, and it's going to work at the 45. Are you kidding me? Trey Ford works some magic. Week 9 in the Canadian Football League kicks off with a heavyweight tilt between the Lions and Bombers. Down the field for Shaw. Got it! Early bird special from the Bombers. Kolaris down the field again, and he's got it again. Touchdown Winnipeg. Are you kidding me? Looking to the end zone for Dembski. What a pass from Kolaris.
Oh my goodness.
The Bombers pile it on.
Coming off an incredible game, 7 catches for 200 yards last week against the BC Lions, his second career 200-yard game. What does he have in store for us tonight? Kenny Lawler. Here is your FanDuel 5, the top 5 most staked anytime touchdown props for the Bombers and Elks matchup. Brady Oliveira is the favorite to find pay dirt at -180, and the top choice tonight. He leads the CFL in rushing yards, but hasn't scored in 6 of 8 games. Trey Ford, the only Elk on this list. He's plus 145 to score. Former Elk Kenny Lawler, third at -155. Time for the expert picks. I will begin with Jim.
I'm going to take Kenny Lawler. Last week, he served notice. I remember, back in 2021 when Lawler was there, that was his security blanket. When he doesn't know where to go, he's throwing it up to Kenny Lawler, he'll get an anytime touchdown.
In Lawler's absence last year, it was Dalton Schoen, and it was Dalton Schoen every game. It seemed like
back.
Hey, that's a good choice. I think Dalton Schoen is too. 5 catches, 137 yards last week, and a couple of scores. Dalton Schoen's used to pitching and catching with Zach Kolaris. I've got him at anytime touchdown, Mill. I think this is a lot.
Well, it's going to require some surgery for him to do it, but I'm going with Dr. Trey. Dr. Trey. Trey Ford, I think he's going to score. And it may not happen early. It may happen later on when they're unfortunately getting blown out and the Bombers may relax because we know he can run around. So I think he'll score a touchdown later in the game.
So third and goal, you're keeping Trey Ford in.
He's playing the whole game. He's never coming out.
We're not going to put in someone else.
Regardless.
That's maybe taller.
No.
Maybe better at quarterback sneaking.
Who?
Nick Taylor Cornelius.
No, I'm going with Trey. I'm going with Dr. Trey.
That's a great question. I have the Winnipeg defense.
Milton
and I went complete opposite on this one. I figured this kind of feels like a pick-6 night for me, so we're going to play this back in our post-game hit if that happens.
Nice.
But here is a recap. Our anytime touchdown picks. I like the Winnipeg D, as just mentioned. Jim, you're on Kenny Lawler. Matt and AK like Dalton Schoen and Brady Oliveira. Milt, the only one who took an Elk, just play into the Edmonton fans. He's on Trey Ford to find the end zone. Here's Glenn Suter.
Yeah, Kate, as our Hall of Fame quarterback Matt Dunnigan was talking about earlier, the Elks' first-round pick from a year ago, Trey Ford, is a true dual-threat quarterback. A lot of quarterbacks, when it comes to the run game, are running to escape. Trey Ford is different in that regard. He's running and getting out of the pocket because he wants to become basically a tailback. He runs as a weapon in the open field. So Trey Ford is trying to get outside and make people miss in the open field, whether he goes between the tackles, where he does right here and finding that escape route. He'll get out there, and once he gets in the open field, he's looking to make people miss and pick up yards as a weapon, not just to escape. But he also has the tremendous speed to the outside. If he can get outside of containment like he does against the Lions here, you can see he outruns the angles of 3 tacklers. But let's not look past his accuracy throwing the ball. This is a timing out. He had great timing and throw on this throw, and that fade route that you have to be accurate with to the outside shoulder, well, he can make that one as well. Now listen, I know it was preseason, but this year against the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense in limited action, he went 8 for 9 throwing the ball, 7 carries for 29 yards rushing the ball, and he gets the start tonight. I think there's a lot of people in this country cheering for Trey Ford.
So Winnipeg Winnipeg leads the league with 27 sacks. They're one of two teams, the other being Toronto, to have multiple sacks in every single game so far this season. Willie Jefferson, as we've mentioned, he's got 8 of those already. It is most in a season since 2019. And coming from the other side of the line, watch out for Jackson Jeffcoat, a sack in 3 straight games, 4 total in 5 games this year. We have to admit, at the beginning of the year, there was a little bit of doubt if the Winnipeg Blue Bombers could get back to what we have seen from this team year after year. But Milt, after looking at those numbers, it is once again the model of consistency, and so impressive that the defense is playing so well at this point in the season.
Yeah, this team has found their footing. They're in their flow. They got their swagger back, and the big reason is this play of this defense. As you saw, they're leading the league in sacks, and the man who's leading this team in sacks, Willie Jefferson. He's having another outstanding year. He's not only the best defensive end in the league, and I may get some kickback from Betts in BC or maybe Flo in Toronto, but he's the most impactful defensive player. Second in sacks, but he's also first in forced fumbles and knockdowns, and sometimes knockdowns are just as impactful as sacks. So Willie Jefferson is doing it all. He hasn't missed a game in the last 5 years. He's the model of consistency. He's doing it all, and a big reason why this Winnipeg Blue Bombers are getting it done.
Hey, Milton, you look at offensively, you talk about the defense, and they're explosive defense. A lot of big plays, change games, momentum swings. Offensively, they do that as well. And I'm really impressed with Buck Pierce, offensive coordinator for that football team, and how he manages just that one football amongst all the stars that they have for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And you add Kenny Lawler into the mix, and this offensive team becomes even more creative. Look, when you're pushing the football down the field like they are, you need time. And what they did last week against a very tough defense, we know what BC's been doing to offenses. They added a 6th blocker in there, and sometimes 7, and gave Zach Claris an opportunity to go down the field to Dembski, to Schoen, to Lawler, and the list keeps going on. So tip of the hat to Buck Pierce for being able to get it done in so many different ways with so many players and only having one football to do it.
Well, Zach had some of that swag back that he possessed for the last 2 years when he was named the MVP. Getting Kenny Lawler back, that's like a safety blanket. He knows if there's one-on-one out there, I can throw it out. He's going to have a chance to make a play. Milt, you talk about defense and the pressure. Well, DeMario Houston leads the league in interceptions by 2, and Evan Holm is second in the league in knockdowns. That comes from the pressure up front. So this team is putting it all together.
Tremendous performance, as we've been mentioning throughout the show, against the BC Lions last week, and we will see if they can keep it going tonight. For now, let's send it back to Edmonton and join Ryan Rishagu standing by with Trey Ford.
Well, Trey, this has been a long time coming for you. You've had to stay patient. How would you describe the way you're feeling right now, about to get another start here?
Super excited. The nerves haven't fully kicked in yet, but once it's time for kickoff, they definitely will. But I'm happy to be excited, happy to be nervous, care about the sport, care about winning, and want to lead the team to a W today.
When those nerves kick in for you, what are the ways that you'll deal with them here tonight?
So I get pretty lucky, actually. They go away, not nervous after the very first play. It's only the first play. I don't know why, but, I guess it's good that way.
We know what Winnipeg can bring defensively. How important might those legs be tonight, but how much you want to strike that balance?
Yeah, I'm definitely going to use my legs when I need to. If I can run for a first down, I'm going to take it because that's a guaranteed first down versus throwing. Maybe I do miss a pass. Maybe there's a drop. There's a lot more uncertainty with that. But, definitely want to throw the ball down the field and take some shots on these guys for sure.
We'll get through that first play and then have fun.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Yeah. Thanks.
Well, tonight, by the way, it is Indigenous Celebration Game in Edmonton. Halftime will showcase Dancing Cree. And how great is this? The logo on these helmets created by Conrad Plews. And I must say, he did an outstanding job.
Yes.
These look absolutely phenomenal. More coming up right after this.
Willie Jefferson getting it done.
Mayor's tripped up and taken down. Who else? 5th sack of the season for Big Willie.
Pressure on. Ball is out. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on top.
Au revoir. See you soon.
One of the great characters in the Canadian Football League and a heck of a player as well.
Amazing to think it is already week 10 in the CFL. Friday Night Football sees the Rough Riders taking on the Montreal Alouettes. Saturday's action is the Stampeders taking on the BC Lions, and it all wraps up on Sunday in Toronto when the Red Blacks visit the Argonauts. Joined now by country music star Josh Ross, and for those watching, you probably remember him from last year's Grey Cup, where he put on an outstanding performance in Regina. Josh, since that point, you have been on quite the roll, the most nominated artist at the upcoming CCMAs in Hamilton in September, which you can watch, by the way, on CTV. But what has been the last few months been like for you?
Definitely just a readjustment to life in a really great way. For a lot of years, I really wanted all these things to happen and to be gone 200 plus days out of the year, and definitely got my wish this year. So it's been really special, and touring's been really awesome, and excited to be here at Boots and Hearts.
Now, you just mentioned Boots and Hearts, and we can see some of the festivities going on behind you. You are performing. This is a stage you have been on before, but at more of an entry level. But now being an artist at this event, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot to me. I mean, it's one of my favorite festivals, and it's such a special festival for me. 6 years ago to this weekend is when I did my Emerging Artist Showcase, and it's crazy to think back kind of where I was at then and now, and the relationships I've formed, and especially with the people that run the festival, and have been cheering for me since 2017.
So we have the research team here at TSN, and we found out that you actually played football at Western University, and you're a big football fan. Have you watched any of the CFL season, and how much do you miss playing the game itself?
It's crazy. I really miss playing the game, but what I miss more of that is really the team atmosphere, and just being, it's just the locker room stuff. It's kind of just shooting it with the guys and talking, about life and all that kind of stuff that I really miss. And I try to still watch as much as I can, and still cheer on for my team, and hopefully get to make it to a game soon.
Well, hopefully we get to see you perform live at a game coming up. In the meantime, enjoy Boots and Hearts, and thank you so much for joining us, Josh.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Take care.
I gotta tell you, I asked our producer Troy why we were not broadcasting at Boots and Hearts tonight. I think James Duthie is there having a great time. I know. We're still here in studio. Awesome. We could have been doing live shows with country music playing behind us the entire time. Wow. So here comes the segment you've all been waiting for, because we haven't told you, Jim, but I'm pretty sure this game constitutes as a...
Jim's lock of the night.
Right. Oh my goodness gracious.
We're trying to sell it. Is this a lock of the night for you? Is it the Winnipeg Blue Bombers tonight?
It has to be a lock of the night. I mean, this is the CFL, and this is pro football, and anything can happen. But if there was ever a lock, and it's like, what, 11.5 points? I would even lay that 11.5 points. But anything can happen. This is the CFL.
Yeah, last time I went for the sure lock, Ottawa won at home, and I don't know if I'm going to go there. It's like when Usain Bolt used to run the 100, right? Everybody else was just pretending, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers right now are like Usain Bolt. I think everybody else is just pretending, Milt, and I really think that this is, you got to be careful if you're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. You got to go in there prepared and locked and loaded, because anything can happen in professional football.
Of course they have a chance. I mean, they're professional athletes. They're prideful, and they, hold on.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Okay, all right. My wife said, don't embarrass the family. No, they don't have a chance at all. Please. Are you serious?
I'm sorry. Darlene just called right now.
Darlene.
Hi, Darlene. Don't worry. He's doing great. Radio Oliver, he's had a couple monster games as of late. Hasn't found the pay dirt. We'll see if he can tonight. It is the Bombers, the lock for Jim tonight, taking on the Edmonton Elks. Kickoff coming up from Commonwealth after this.
Let me get a little more. Yeah. Let me get a little more. Can I get a little more?
Polaris with time. Down the field for Dembski. Dembski down to the 10, and he's all the way home. Edmonton answers back. A big one.
It's about as lopsided as it gets to kick off Week 10. The winless Elks, desperate to snap their 21-game home losing streak, welcome a team they haven't beaten since 2018 to Edmonton, the Blue Bombers. just his 4th career start and first this season, the Elks have decided to turn to the Canadian Trey Ford as they look for any way to turn their season around. And for Ford and the Elks, it doesn't get much more difficult than this. Willie Jefferson, already 8 sacks on the season, and the Winnipeg defense coming off a monster win where they only allowed BC to score 14 points. A statement so far this season, to say the least. Hello, Canada. Welcome to Thursday Night Football on TSN. Kate Burness alongside Jim Barker, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall as we get set for the Elks and the Bombers. And Milt, I said it off the top here. It is as lopsided as it gets here. Changes were made for the Elks during the bye week, but was it enough?
Come on, Kay.
I know. I have to sell it.
It wasn't enough, but they had to make some changes. You know, when you go on a bye week and you're 0-8, you have to do something differently. They can only do so much, though. You know, they only have so many players on that team. Coaches have to stick around, so they can only do so much. But I like the fact that this young man is getting his opportunity. We saw the other 2 guys couldn't get it done. So why not give this man an opportunity? Of course, this coaching staff understands that he does not give them the best chance to win, but they couldn't win with the other guys anyway. So why not give this guy an opportunity to see what he can do?
Yeah, they moved the antlers around on the elk, but it's still an elk.
Still an elk.
And to me, it's one of those scenarios where I'm really interested in how Richie Hall, defensive coordinator for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, is going to corral the young Trey Ford. We certainly know that Chris Jones has got some tricks up his sleeve. What is Richie Hall going to do in order to stop Trey Ford and his legs?
Well, I'm going to channel my inner Chris Jones.
Okay, here we go.
I feel like him right now. I'm going to channel. I'm going to say, you know what, fellas? For us to have a chance to win this game, you need to make them play on a long field. Let my defense do what my defense can do.
Get up on them.
We will get some turnovers. Okay. And before we know it, if we can just hang in for 4 quarters, that's how we're going to get it done, boys.
Well, longer it goes, and longer it's close football game, the more pressure's on Winnipeg. And it's tough to get up for these football games when you know you're supposed to win. You got to subject yourself to the process, and if you don't subject yourself to the process, you open yourself up for a really nasty outcome of a football game. So let's just see if Winnipeg's prepared for this one.
But the question I have, why do you guys all have on black? What's going on here?
Do we not get the memo?
What's going on?
Channeling. I got your text.
You got your text? Why do we all? I don't understand.
Coach, how about a little motivation to break?
Sing for us, Coach.
All right. No. Everybody thinks this game's going to be a blowout. This is going to be one of the better games of the year.
That's not what you said earlier.
I know.
A bit of a windy evening in Edmonton as we get set to kick off Week 10 with the Elks and Bombers on Thursday Night Football. The first-place Bombers roll into town red hot after putting up 50 against the Lions last week. For Edmonton, the never-ending search for a victory has led to changes. Jarius Jackson now calling the plays offensively, and a new but familiar face at quarterback.
Yeah, the Elks first-round pick, 8th overall from a year ago. Trey Ford gets to start in this one tonight. Ford was the starting quarterback last year against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. One of the last few times the Elks have felt that winning feeling. So we'll see if Trey Ford can provide the spark. On the other side, you mentioned it, Zach Collaros, the front runner by a long shot for MOP, leads in almost all passing categories in the Canadian Football League and is on pace for over 5,000 yards.
Things have obviously gone well for Coach Mike O'Shea over the last few years. He's also won 8 in a row versus Edmonton. Chris Jones on the other side continuing to look for answers. Has lost 12 straight games, 4-21 since returning as head coach and general manager of the Edmonton Elks. These teams met just a couple of weeks ago with the Bombers coming out on top at IG Field, and we'll do it again here at Commonwealth on Thursday Night Football. And Edmonton will have the ball to start this game, and it's taken just inside the 15. Brought back up the near side of the field. Pretty good return here by Cobb. All the way out to the 45, 30-yard return in decent field position for Trey Ford.
Was the Head Crichton Award winner when he was at Waterloo, and Trey Ford, as we mentioned, start number 3 for him. Never started against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mentioned it off the top in the pregame show that in the preseason, Trey Ford played limited time against the Bombers in that preseason game. I know it's preseason, I know it's backups, but he went 8 of 9. and rushed for almost 30 yards.
And a touchdown.
Carries, and a touchdown.
Rushing touchdown as well. So he gets the start here. And they'll hand it off to Brown. And look at this hole right up the middle. What a carry. What a start. Kevin Brown down to the 10-5. Touchdown. Are you kidding me? 65 yards. A bang from Edmonton. And they go on top courtesy Kevin Brown.
You're going to see a lot of this type of play with Trey Ford at quarterback. It's an option play. He can pull the ball or he can give it to his tailback. They've talked throughout the bye and all week about getting Kevin Brown more involved. There you go. That's what happens if you do.
Second rushing touchdown of the season for Brown. Prior to the bye week against BC, he had 5 yards on 5 carries. That one his season long. 65 for the touchdown.
Nominee last year for outstanding rookie, and Kevin Brown shows off his speed, but he just outruns the angle. Winnipeg Blue Bombers Trey Ford first snap as the starter and says, okay, I like it.
It's going to be a pretty easy job if you just hand it to Kevin Brown all night. Plays like that, longest running play of the season. Edmonton, a team that averages just over 13 points per game, has 7 here, just 53 seconds in. And I guess Jarius Jackson knows what he's doing as offensive coordinator. He's got to feel pretty good about the first play that he's called.
Look, tired.
Well, we'll see what happens with Winnipeg, because they came out with some excellent football early in their game against BC. Both of these coming off of games against the BC Lions. And this one is hammered all the way through the end zone. And now we get our look at Zach Collaros, who's having just a sensational season.
Yes, he is. He's 6-2 on the year and 10-6 against Edmonton. Has not lost as the starting quarterback for the Bombers against an Edmonton football team. I mentioned his pace. Only 21 players in the history of the league have thrown for over 5,000 yards. Zach Collaros is on pace to do just that.
It would be a rather remarkable campaign. Starts on his own 40 here. They'll hand it off to Brady Oliveira, who can run pretty well on his own, and big part of this Winnipeg starting offense.
Well, I wanted to see this matchup between Stanley Bryant, the veteran at left tackle, and AC Leonard is having a pretty good season. Defensive end for the Edmonton Elks. We'll take a look at that matchup a little closer throughout the game. And how about a big game for Kenny Lawler against the BC Lions? Over 200 yards exactly receiving against BC. Almost 300 yards in 2 starts for the Bombers since his return.
293 yards to be exact. 93 of them coming in a game against Edmonton in week 7. Prukop in short yardage. He's got it against Edmonton's starting defense tonight. Let's take a look.
Yeah, 6 sacks in the last 4 games for AC Leonard. So after a little bit of a slow start, he's turned it on of late on defense. So we'll see him against Bryant and Hardrick a little bit tonight. There's their leading tackler, Niles Morgan, in the middle. And they get a veteran back, and Ed Gainey back in the secondary is going to really help them, especially when they face adversity. But if they want to pull off the comeback, or I should say the upset tonight, their defense has to play their best game.
Gainey has been out since week 2. They'll hand it off again, and a good push ahead. A huge chunk on first down, and this would certainly be a recipe for success as they get Dembski involved in the offense.
Yeah, I just think with the way that Winnipeg's playing and coming off their 50 points scored against a real good BC defense, for Edmonton to pull off the upset tonight, this defense is going to have to be great. They're going to have to play their best game. And they got into some penalty problems in their last one. if they can play their best game tonight, and Ed Gainey should help them in that regard. He's a veteran player. They got a shot.
First and 10 from the Edmonton 48. Collaros fakes the handoff, gives it to Schoen, and Schoen is taken down immediately by Darius Bratton, the rookie.
Boy, that start against the Lions, this offense for the Bombers just went bombs away. They got the matchups they wanted. They took advantage of a couple of busts, and away they went with 14 points before the Lions knew what hit them. So a little bit of a different start here. They're chipping away, see if they can convert here on second down.
There's 3 yards, a completion to Schoen. They're at 137 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. Elks show pressure. That's what they're going to bring. Collaros from midfield. And that one looks like it one hop into Kenny Lawler. And that will bring up third down for Winnipeg in their first possession of the ballgame.
Yeah, you did get full pressure and a little bit of a... So there's Gainey there from the secondary. He's up at the line of scrimmage now. He ends up slow playing it and delaying and catching the back out of the backfield. Or excuse me, it was Dembski who lined up in the backfield, but pick him up in man and send pressure and get the ball back.
It would be a very deep field goal into a wind that is in the face of the Bombers right now. So Jamison Sheen will come out and kick this away from right about midfield. Short kicks, waiting for it there is Sims, and he is taken down. Edmonton about to get the ball back and maybe put it in the hands of Kevin Brown. Started this game first offensive play of the evening for Edmonton. A house call, 65 yards for Kevin Brown. Fast delivery in this game for Edmonton offensively, something we've not had a chance to say very often this season. Trey Ford has had one play, handed it to Brown, went 65 for the touchdown. They get the ball back here, leading 8-0. Back to Brown again. And I guess he's not going to just run for 65-yard touchdowns tonight.
Yeah,
here's a look at the Elks offense.
Yeah, let's take a look at the 2 tackles, because when you're playing against Jeff Coat and Jefferson, we got to watch the tackles. Martez Ivy and Brett Boyko on the other side, so we'll watch those matchups as we do often. Kyrie Wilson, second game, or excuse me, Arsenault back into the lineup for the Elks. He gets a chance to again provide that leadership like an Ed Gainey when adversity hits, for Arsenault to come in and just calm the huddle down. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Also out since week 2, 35 yards on 4 catches in the first couple of games of the season. 2nd and 3 here for Edmonton after a 7-yard pickup to Brown. Ford turns, hands it off again. Brown bumped off the first tackle from Rose and then pushed back, and that will bring up third down here for Edmonton, and they'll be forced to use Jake Julian to punt this back the other way.
Yeah, just a little bit off in the timing there of the handoff, and again, this is first start for Trey Ford, and got first week where he was taking first-team reps with the starters, so we may see a little bit of this, just not quite there when it came to the timing on the handoff.
Winston Rose just playing in his 2nd game of the season. Made his season debut last week, 5 tackles and a knockdown in that game. 3rd and 1. Julian to punt it away with the wind at his back. Gets it away cleanly from just inside the 20. A little bit of a shorter kick. That'll be taken at the 45. Just a 37-yard kick. A short return from Greg McCrae, and Zach Collaros and his Bombers offense will have the ball. First place, 6-2 on the year, but trailing here early, 8-0 to the Elks. There's a good up-close look at the back-to-back MOP. Zach Collaros coming in off an MOP style of game against the BC Lions. Hit him hard early and often, did Zach.
Sure did. 6 explosion plays in that game. 3 touchdown passes for Zach Collaros. This is start number 40 as the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the regular season. He's only lost 6 times. 33-6.
No yards one way, holding flag on the Bombers, so back to basically where that return went at 51. Here's a look at what Collaros is doing so far this season compared to his peers around the league, and I think that's a pretty solid list.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty good when you're first or tied for first in all of those categories. And I mentioned when covering the Toronto Argonauts that, you know, that Chad Kelly is in the conversation. And there were some on Twitter and across social media saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, what about Zach? What about Zach?" No, I said he's in the conversation. I didn't say he was the front runner. The front runner we're watching tonight.
16 touchdowns, just 5 interceptions for Collaros so far this year. Thought about taking off here, forced to the far side. Guns one in there on the far side of the field. Double coverage, and they will say incomplete. I hesitated because Kenny Lawler is capable of doing some pretty incredible things.
Oh, yeah.
But I guess he did not haul this one in.
Let's take a look at it again. Zach steps up and then rolls out to his right, escapes.
Rolling on the field is an incomplete pass.
Boy, it looked like his feet were in.
Tough one to see, but certainly might have been.
It looked like he had it. I think Kenny Lawler is thinking, wait a minute, my foot was in bounds and I maintained possession.
Early in the game to throw the flag, and they won't. And this is kicked out of bounds. And the flag flies on that kick. Trey Ford trying to deliver a victory for the winless Edmonton Elks. Has yet to throw a pass, but they lead 8-0. First start of the season for Trey Ford tonight. He's been patiently waiting for the opportunity. For more on that, let's send it down to Ryan Rashad.
And spending the week working with Jarius Jackson, trying to work out the offense. Jackson told me when he was a quarterback, he really liked a relationship with the coach where he could be open and honest about the plays, what he liked, what he didn't like. And that's the approach that he took with Trey Ford. Real open dialogue. And in fact, a couple of days ago, Ford didn't like the way a couple of the plays were feeling, the way he was reading them, so they dropped him completely out of the game plan. Said that the message to Ford is to take what's there, not get too fancy and look for more deep balls. If there's something short that's there, take it. As Ford said, Dusty, to us before the game, he's nervous for the first play. Well, we saw how that went. Now we'll see what he does here with his third sequence.
It's got to calm the nerves a little bit.
That first play was okay. Yeah, that worked pretty well.
Let somebody else do all the work. That's what Kevin Brown did. Here's Ford. Delayed handoff to Brown again, and he's got a first down and more all the way up to the 50. And another big chunk for Kevin Brown. 18 more yards as he creeps up towards 100 already.
David Foucault and Mark Corte, the center, get really nice blocks here on the inside, and they seal the deal. And then on this delayed draw to Kevin Brown, they just look like they're going to try to drop back from the shotgun and throw it. Give it to Kevin Brown. He's got a nice gap right in the A gap up the middle. That's the gap between the center and the guard.
Over 90 yards already in this game for Brown on 4 carries. First and 10 from the Edmonton 50 for Ford. They'll stay on the ground. Good push ahead. Another first down, running the ball extremely well, this time in the hands of the rookie Shannon Brooks.
Very similar backs in a lot of ways between Kevin Brown and Shannon Brooks, both low to the ground, low center of gravity, great quickness and speed in the hole. And definitely, it's early in this game, but you can say the Elks have got their running game going.
Winnipeg allows just 90 yards per game on the ground. Edmonton has already run for 102. 4 receivers wide side left here for Ford. First and 10 from Winnipeg 48. Setting up a screen here for Kyron Moore. And Moore takes it down just shy of the 40 against this Winnipeg starting defense.
Well, I jumped the gun earlier, but let's take a look at the starting defense. Got Jackson Jeffcoat off the edge with Willie Jefferson, second in the league in sacks is Jefferson. 9 knockdowns, leads the Canadian Football League. There's Kyrie Wilson. He gets his second start in the linebacking core. This is really the starting group on defense. I think they wanted from the start. And there's Winston Rose, who's back. Demario Houston leads the league in interceptions.
6 already on the season. Had one last week. 2nd and 4 on the Winnipeg 42 for Edmonton with an 8-0 lead. Ford, pressure coming, in trouble, gets away, takes off in the run. He's got a first down and more to the 30, 25, and a round of applause from the faithful at Commonwealth.
Our Hall of Fame quarterback Matt Dunnigan in the pregame show talked about Trey Ford as a dual threat, and he truly is a dual threat. He has 4.4 speed, and he used a little bit of it right there, getting outside of Dedrick Nichols, who came on the halfback blitz, and he gets a new set of downs.
Edmonton with a big play from Brown to open the game with a touchdown, and now putting together a drive here with 120 yards on the ground against Winnipeg's defense. This time tripped up after a decent little burst there from Brooks.
Jake Thomas, good gap cancellation. He steps up in the middle and just slides into that with a big hit. Got a sack last week versus the BC Lions, his second on the season. Good job run stopping there on first down.
2nd and 8, 6th play of the drive here for Edmonton. Mixing in both Brown and Brooks so far this evening. That's Brooks into the left of his quarterback, Ford. A pass and a completion for a first down. Mitchell stays on his feet and eventually is taken down just inside the 15 by Kyrie Wilson.
Dylan Mitchell is going to run the curl here. Turns on that inside curl. Gets Demario Houston. Puts his foot in the ground and then slips and gets a little bit of separation. Pretty good throw between the 1 and the 7.
It's just the 14th trip into the red zone this season for Edmonton. They finished on 6 of them for a 46% clip. Back to Brooks. Brooks stumbling through a hole. If he stays on his feet there, he's probably got a touchdown.
Well, Willie Jefferson is going to play very wide, and on the inside handoff here, he's gone past the run, so he can't crash down and get there in the backfield, and that tackle right there by Cramdy is all that stops a touchdown run.
Shannon Brooks seeing much more involvement in the run game tonight than he had previously under the previous offensive coordinator. 2nd and 4 for Edmonton. Ford wants to take off, and he will. Trey Ford looking for the end zone. Touchdown! He's got it! Trey Ford gets home! First touchdown of the season for number 2.
This was in Trey Ford's mind from the beginning of this play. This was a design quarterback draw, and this is what you can do with a dual threat player. This is Trey Ford using his speed. There was no thought to pass there. That was a quarterback draw, and he just has to find the hole and then use his speed to outrun the angles, and boy, does he get that done.
An 8-play, 77-yard drive that took just over 4 minutes, most of it on the ground, and an extra point hammered through. And the Edmonton Elks lead the Bombers 15-0 late in the first quarter. This is going to be a good one. Don't go anywhere. There he is, Trey Ford, rushing touchdown to give his team a 15-0 lead. Finally getting an opportunity.
That's for my daughter, Renee is at home watching on TV.
All smiles is Ford, and I'm assuming his family watching at home on TV have to love what they're seeing so far.
Well, it's the third drive, Dustin, you're right. I mean, this is the third drive of the game, and they had the big play in the opening play of the game, and against a great defense, they're up 15-0.
Greg McCray stopped just shy of the 35. Let's take a look at this touchdown drive that was a lot of just pounding the ball right into the Bombers defense.
A little delayed run here to Kevin Brown, and he gets this drive started. Brooks contributed as well. Couple of throws, just a extended run of plays really, but then Trey Ford taking off a couple times and beating the blitz here. That was on second down and a big one to get a new set. And here's the touchdown. So the Elks in the first quarter over 100 yards combined rushing already.
Well, they averaged 13 points per game this season. They're already at 15. Here's Collaros looking for a target, finds his running back Oliveira, and half of what they need on first down. We should note the skies have kind of opened here, and it was pouring heavily for a little bit. A lot of the fans have run for cover. Looks like it might have just momentarily let up.
Yeah, it was coming down quick, and the wind is gusting. Now the Bombers won the toss and deferred to the second half. So the Elks have had the wind at their back for this whole first quarter.
2nd and 7 after a 3-yard pickup in the air to Oliveira. Collaros on the run to his right. Pressured, sacked, and taken down by the Edmonton defense. All of them. Brown, Serezna, Leonard in the mix.
Really only one receiver that Zach Collaros could have got it to. When you watch him roll out this way and escape to that in that direction, the route looks like it's designed to go to the other side of the field. All but one receiver. Well, an extra one tried to recover, but they were all well covered, and there was no way that Zach Collaros was going to try and force it in there and turn the ball over. Takes the sack, and Leonard gets another one.
Third and 17, they'll kick it away. Taken by Sims just inside the 40. Sims gets it back out over the 50, and nowhere to go there.
Serezna didn't get credit for that sack, and the assist to A.C. Leonard.
They moved it around all over the place. I've seen it to Leonard, I've seen it to Brown, I've seen it to Serezna. Bottom line is Edmonton sacked Zach Collaros and lead this football game 15-0 with the first quarter in the books. Second quarter action coming up here. Thursday Night Football on TSN. Welcome back to Commonwealth, and for those of you who are just joining us, this is not an error. The Elks lead the Bombers 15-0 through 15 minutes and have dominated this football game so far.
Two changes throughout the bye for the Elks. One was an offensive coordinator, Jarius Jackson, and starting quarterback Trey Ford. Now, you know, the commitment to the run in the first quarter, clearly Jarius Jackson's going to run the ball more, and he's got a young quarterback starting now. Trey Ford has provided that spark. It's early in this game. This is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is Zach Collaros, but what a great start for a team that has really struggled.
Yeah, if they were going to pull off what would be deemed a pretty significant upset, you needed to have a start like this to put some pressure on the Bombers, who are certainly more than capable with 3 quarters left to come back and maybe even win this game rather comfortably with what we've seen from Winnipeg. But Edmonton has had an excellent start. They're mixing in Shannon Brooks more than he has been, which allows them to run the ball very consistently. 1st and 10 from their own 52. They'll go back to Brown, and he lunges through a hole, gets a couple of extra yards, and picks up about 4 on the play.
That was kind of one of the things that I think Ryan was talking about as well, is that when Jarius Jackson took over, everyone talking about their decision to go to Trey Ford. But he wanted to remind all the reporters all week long that, hey, we got to run the ball. We've got a very good running back in Kevin Brown and an excellent backup in Shannon Brooks. We've got to get that part of our game going.
Real nice 1-2 punch, and you mix in a quarterback who can run the ball as well, and all of a sudden things get extremely interesting. There's a completion right at the first down marker as he goes back to Kyron Moore. Second catch of the game for Moore. Ford's 3 for 3, and Edmonton is awfully close to another first down. And they'll give it to him.
Inaccurate on those intermediate and short throws so far. Trey Ford. 3 for 3. Get the running game going. A couple runs for him as well.
Moore has become a pretty reliable piece of this offense as well, with Geno Lewis sidelines. Dunbar, Mitchell, and Moore have really stepped up. Here's Ford throwing again. Has another completion. This one to the veteran Arsenault. And a decent pickup on first down.
Really need those guys, the glue guys. I mean, that's what Manny Arsenault has been, which with every team that he's been on, is a guy that is going to not only give you some real productive receiving yards, he's going to block, he's going to lead by example. As I mentioned off the top, when something goes sideways, he's going to get in the huddle and say, don't even worry about that. And coming from him, it means so much more. True veteran.
4 options, wide side right. They'll come to the left for Mitchell. Wrapped up immediately. Excellent tackle from DeMario Houston. And that will bring up third down for Edmonton. And they will kick it away after a little bit of deliberation, but saw Winnipeg kick from somewhat of a similar spot on the field earlier in the first quarter.
Yeah, it's a gusty wind in the face of the Elks now. I think this is try and play the field position game, and when you kick a long field goal, as you know, there's great returners in this game, and if it goes wide, watch out. He's onside.
Bombers scrambling around a bit here as Edmonton's got a couple of guys onside at the bottom of your screen. There they are. This will be kicked
recover
high. McCray waiting for it, takes it cleanly just outside the 10, back into a pile. Flag on the play, and he gets it back just shy of the 20-yard line. Kolaris 2 of 4, just 6 yards here early in the second. So it turns out getting Kenny Lawler back has really helped Winnipeg's offense, eh?
Yeah,
surprise!
Almost 300 yards in 2 games, as you mentioned. Yeah, you got off. What a great game against the BC Lions. I mean, just you throw it up for Kenny Lawler, and he comes down with it more times than not, 200 yards, and he's done it twice, over 200 yards. I know of another guy who's done it a couple of times over 200 yards.
Is he wearing a very dark suit sitting on the panel tonight?
They're Johnny Cash tribute tonight.
Here's Kolaris under pressure again, trying to get away, stumble, throws it out, intercepted. Are you kidding me? What's happening? Purifoy takes it back, and the Elks have blown this thing wide open. I can't believe it. Neither can he.
I don't think Coach Osei believes it either.
Holy smokes.
And as Zach Kolaris is slow to get up.
Was he hit at the very end of the play?
Well, he gets wrapped up right here, and then as he's spinning, he tries to pitch it to Oliveira, which is a forward pass, even if it's underhand. But Purifoy tracked that down.
Let's see, could he have possibly been down? But, well, that's what happened there. That's why he's still down.
Yeah, that's
on the field.
It's that second hit, yeah. No question about that. That this is.
He was still up when he got that away, and then that hit right there.
It was Connie Ely, I believe, at 275
Yeah, it was Ely.
pounds.
Yeah, that's a big boy.
Noah Curtis provided the pressure that forced the mistake, and they are checking out the neck of Zach Collaros.
Definitely don't want to see this for the Bombers, and Collaros will step away and try to get an update when we return.
Roughing the passer. We'll review the play.
All right, so Zach Collaros got up, walked off. He's getting looked at by the training staff right now. Coach O'Shea has challenged this play for a roughing the passer at the end of it. Big swing in this game here.
We'll show it to you in live speed, because I don't believe it was an illegal hit. It was Ely diving to tackle Zach Collaros, who was still live because he put his hand down. The question is, was it late? That's why the command center wants us to show them some copies in live speed. So he's not down there as he pitched the ball forward. And was that hit considered late?
Do you think it was late?
Well, we showed it to him live. It's a good thing that he's up moving around. I take Zach Collaros to the locker room for further examination.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Winnipeg will be charged a timeout.
Purifoy's second touchdown of the season will stand. And Edmonton, with one more here, will be up by 22 if Faithful can knock this thing through. And he does.
Well, let's show you the play, because it was a big one for Luchez Purifoy. As far as leadership goes, he's really carried the burden from here. He's the safety, and he's going to come up into the hole basically. So in this coverage, he's tracking Brady Oliveira. Brady Oliveira releases here. Stop it there, guys. He's releasing here, and there they are, two locked up. But I don't think Brady Oliveira thought the ball was going to come to him at all. When Zach Collaros turns around, Oliveira kind of works back towards him, but he's looking at Purifoy when that ball is tossed. Watch number 20. He doesn't really, I don't think, see it coming. He gets a chip there. You lose him to the right of your screen. Purifoy was locked in. It was his man. He looked like he'd snuck up from the safety spot. He was just going to spy the back out of the backfield.
Collaros has been taken back to get looked at after that hit. He was down on the field for a while.
Well, the good news is he was running back and forth. They checked out his neck. They're going to further examine him further in the locker room.
McRae on the return, looking for some space. It's taken away, but he does bring it back just outside the 40, and we'll get a look at Drew Brown, who we have seen at the helm of this offense as recently as that last game against the Lions.
He's trying to regroup after what has been just a how many people predicted that score?
0
at this point of the game.
I can guarantee you 0 people predicted Edmonton to be up 22-0. Brown did get some reps last week in that blowout against the BC Lions. Keep it on the ground here. He was 2 for 2, 78 yards and a touchdown, managing that offense late in the game against BC.
Well, it certainly has been a year of the young quarterbacks in the Canadian Football League, and we all hope that Zach Collaros is back sooner rather than later. But as he gets examined, we'll see, a young Drew Brown go to work. And there's a whole bunch of teams in the league saying, yeah, been there.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. It's Drew Brown at quarterback, but that's Elliott Brown, who is down on the field right now, a rookie out of Virginia who's taken some time but worked his way up to start at defensive end for this Chris Jones defense. 6'5", 225, first-year guy out of Virginia. Had a sack last week or 2 weeks ago, prior to the bye that Edmonton had.
Examining that left knee.
Well, Drew Brown's facing a very interesting situation coming into this ball game down by 22, and a chance to light a fire under this Winnipeg offense in hopes of Zach Collaros returning here at some point, obviously, for all you Bombers fans watching.
Boy, just every game such a different journey, isn't it? I mean, a week ago, the BC Lions in Winnipeg are down, what was it, 27-3 or something like that before they knew what hit them, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. That table is completely turned here against a team that hasn't won in a long, long time.
Let me run this scenario by you quickly. BC shuts out Edmonton. Winnipeg puts up 50 on BC. Edmonton leads Winnipeg 22-0. So maybe nothing makes sense.
Buckle in. You never know. It's going to be a roller coaster.
Cart is coming out for Elliott Brown. Not good news for the rookie defensive end. Welcome back to Commonwealth Stadium, where this week the Elks unveiled a new Indigenous logo created by a local artist, and that local artist is standing by with our Ryan Rashad.
Yes, Conrad Plews put some time and effort into creating the Indigenous logo. Take us through just the number of hours that you spent on it, and artistically what went into it.
Well, it went actually pretty quick. I just jumped right in. So, you know, the process went pretty smoothly. So within a week, I think I had my first comp out, and with just some subtle changes, they were really happy with it right away. So it went super great. It was fast.
So far, it's providing some decent luck. Be honest now, when they ran that first play in, did you think to yourself, that's probably my logo?
Yeah, I'm like, I'll take some of that, some of the credit for that.
You're a local tattoo artist as well. I know that, and you went to school for art as well. Just a thought on what it means to you to be able to have the opportunity to design a logo that has this much meaning.
It's been overwhelming. It's great. I'm in a big part of the Edmonton community. Also, I'm an Indigenous person in the community, and it's amazing for us to be able to come together and represent ourselves and share this with everyone and bring some positive vibes to the team. So it's been phenomenal.
Well, Conrad, the logo looks great. Great job. Enjoy the rest of the game.
Oh, I will. I guarantee it'll be great.
All right, Dusty.
Maybe the logo is a good luck charm.
Well, it's great. I mean, yeah.
The reaction here in Edmonton to that logo has been outstanding.
Yeah.
People absolutely love it, and it's on the field here tonight. Took a little while, but they do have Elliott Brown on the cart.
Don't want him to put any weight on that leg. But yeah, I mean, diversity is our strength, and we're seeing more and more teams across the league working with the Indigenous communities and in their, you know, in their cities, and the BC Lions are doing a big part of that. They have different alternate logos as well, and love to have a T-shirt with that logo on it. Those are pretty cool.
Well, Conrad was wearing one, so they're out there. They're out there.
Well,
are you trying to get a delivery to the booth?
Well, I'm just like, I'll leave it to you.
My goodness.
You're an Edmonton guy.
I'm a local guy, I guess.
Yeah, you've got some connections.
2 shirts to the booth, please. No, very good. Very nice design, though.
Absolutely.
I believe they just announced Cree language broadcast for the Labor Day rematch game as well. So lots of good things happening on that front here in Edmonton. And the only good thing not happening for Edmonton so far tonight is this, as Elliott Brown gets carted off. Part of a young defense. Chris Jones has told us on all the calls we've had with him all year, Glenn, you know, refers to this defense as kids in this league, especially in his secondary. But Elliott Brown, one of those guys on the defensive line, which is an area where they do have some experience with Serezna and AC Leonard.
And that's where a guy like Ed Gainey back in the lineup can really help. I mean, you know, again, just like Manny Arsenault on the offensive side, to get Ed Gainey in there, he can calm everything down, stabilize it. The young guys get all twisted around when they give up a big play or they give up a long run. You know, Lucas Purifoy's done a good job of it as a veteran in the league, but to have Ed Gainey in there to help him out with that kind of thing, sometimes it's just a look is all it takes.
Drew Brown at quarterback for an injured Zach Collaros, who's being looked at the moment. 2nd and 4. Brown fakes the handoff on the run to his right. He's in trouble and taken down AC Leonard's sensational season continues.
Yeah, you know, every time, whether it was Zach Collaros or now Drew Brown, whenever they get outside, they have time to throw initially, and it's been running to their right, and whenever they get out to their right, it looks like they have time to throw initially, and there's Ed Gainey. He locks down that inside curl, and Purefoy, the two veterans I just mentioned, they've read that play. They've seen it on video, and they jumped Nick Dembski right in the curl.
Third 2 and out of the game for the Bombers. Sims slides under this just inside the 30. Sims looking for some room, gets tracked down from behind, but a solid return just outside the 45 from back. I like Rory this week as well.
You see what happened. Tackle for loss, they all three trying to block me. What that say? We just try to stack one at a time, baby.
That's good hair. That's good hairdo.
Yeah, especially coming out of a helmet like that. Yeah,
that's good hairdo.
First and 10 from the Edmonton 47. Back on the ground again with Brooks. Bounces off a couple of tackles, pushing ahead and close to 5 yards. Just past 4 on that play.
Well, when you get a guy like Trey Ford who runs a 4-4, anytime your defensive ends now, they're going to be wider. Whether it's Jeff Coate, whether it's Jefferson, he runs into his own guy there. That's why he had to go regroup on the sideline. But it's going to keep the defensive ends a little bit wider. It means that the interior B gaps between tackle and guard be a little bit more open for the run game.
Kevin Brown back into the game. Ford wants to throw here, and now he's going to take off on the run. Thought about going deep, trying to work his way up the middle of the field, but the Bombers would have none of it, and that will bring up third down with 8.5 to play in the second quarter.
Yeah, but you know, the coverage was downfield, and I like the decision that Trey Ford made. I mean, live to play another down. Sometimes punting the ball is not a bad thing. You can force it here, and he really didn't have a chance to set up and really step into a throw anywhere along that process because of the pressure. So take the hit, get down, and your defense is playing well tonight already, or so far I should say, back on the field.
Midfield is where they'll let this fly from. Julian, high kick end over end, taken just inside the 15 by McCray, breaks a couple of tackles. Greg McCray looking for space, not going to get it. Rodriguez there, the second overall pick, wraps him up. Brady Oliveira back out here on the field, just having a sensational season of his own.
Yeah, and you know that Buck Pierce will not forget about Brady Oliveira now that they're down 22-0. It's way too early in the game to have to just sling it, and plus you've got Drew Brown in there, so I think keeping, especially on first down, Brady Oliveira active is very important.
First and 10 for Winnipeg, down 22 on their own 25. Back to Oliveira here. A few extra yards there after initial contact, some hard yards. Gives them almost 5 on first down.
Oliveira, Buck Pierce's star tailback, on pace for a 1,300-yard season. So that tells you at this point in the year that Buck Pierce will stay with it, whether they're ahead or behind on the scoreboard.
A couple of touchdowns last week for Oliveira. He'll slide out into the slot to the left of Brown, who throws to his right, a little bit low, but going down and making sure he got his hands underneath it is Rashid Bailey for his first catch of the ball game and a first down.
Probably good, Dustin, that he did go low with that throw, because Luchez Purefoy dropped underneath it and was right there. I mean, he showed blitz, and then Purefoy dropped, and if that ball is thrown high and maybe a little inside, Zero has a shot at it. He's already got one.
Now from the Winnipeg 38. Hand it off again. Pretty solid burst there from Greg McCray, a guy that they like to move around this offense, and he gets him 6 yards that time.
Bit of a pop there. So physical contact, McCray in the interior. I believe it was AC Leonard. job in returns for Janarian Grant, hasn't he, over the last 3 games?
Not easy shoes to fill. Grant's a freak.
Not at all.
McRae's been trying to hold his own there. Empty backfield for Brown. Over the middle, completion, first down Winnipeg. As they creep over midfield, gets it to Wolotarski for the first time today.
Yeah, it's interesting formation from Buck Pierce there. He took Brady Oliveira and he played him way out at wide receiver, and he basically wanted to see what the Elks did to adjust to that. So they take Brady Oliveira and they put him here. He's a wide receiver now. Now he's covered down by a corner in Marcus Lewis. So they basically don't adjust a linebacker out. They think they're going to play man-to-man behind it. They drop into a basic zone look, and there's the open zone for Drew Brown.
Brown finds it. He's 2 of 2 since coming into this game for Collaros for 22 yards.
If they were going to go with man-to-man, Dustin, they would have taken a linebacker or the tweener DB and walked him out with Brady Oliveira.
Would have gone out with him.
Gone out with him and played him man-to-man.
Wolotarski still down on the field, having a really nice season himself. 4 touchdowns on the year for Wolotarski, tied for the team lead with Dembski and Schoen. And then they add Lawler back in, and it really is the rich getting richer here for this Winnipeg receiving corps. Wolotarski is back up. Brandon O'Leary-Orange, I believe, dressed tonight as well as a backup behind Wolotarski, so maybe we see more of him.
Took a big deep breath and kind of went, okay, just catching my breath here. Looks like he'll be okay.
He's your guy. He plays guitar. You play guitar.
Oh, yeah.
He plays guitar.
The jam sometime. Tim McGraw going or something.
Winnipeg from the Edmonton 52, 1st and 10. Brown keeps it, has a completion. That's Bailey again, finds some room and a big pickup. Rasheed Bailey getting involved in this Winnipeg offense.
That
23 yards.
That was an outstanding, sorry, Dust, that was an outstanding fake there by Drew Brown on the run inside. I mean, I think most of the Elk defenders thought that Brady Oliveira had the football, and they crashed into the middle.
Brown keeps it again, near side this time. Has a completion, and that is to O'Leary-Orange into the game for Wolotarski, and he's got his 2nd catch of the year.
Really influencing the Elks defense with these play fakes. Got to really sell them. Don't just hold it out there. You got to really sell that you may be given the ball.
They're thinking if Collaros is out of the game, they'll just run Oliveira down our throat.
Exactly.
Keep faking it and opening things up for Drew Brown. 7th play of this drive. Winnipeg looking to get on the board for the first time this evening. Need 4 yards for a first down. Brown with time has a man and Schoen. Touchdown Winnipeg. Dalton Schoen's team leading 5th of the year. And there they are, the Bombers on the board.
Yeah, this is the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is the best team in the league, and they're not going to go away. They're going to keep battling and keep fighting, even without their starting quarterback. Drew Brown puts together a real nice drive, excellent play fakes, and then a nice throw from deep in the pocket to get it outside to Schoen, who had a huge game against the Lions last week, and Dalton Schoen scores.
Drew Brown, 5 of 5. And a touchdown. 7-play, 85-yard drive, 3.5 minutes to get it done. And Winnipeg has signs of life offensively, courtesy their backup quarterback.
Yeah, just a combination route to the outside for Dalton Schoen, and he gets an assist from his teammate. I believe that's Lawler going inside here, and then Schoen's going to come out and run this deep out. And because of Kenny Lawler and what he did last week, he really influences the DBs for the Elks. They're all staring at 89, and Schoen sneaks to that sideline and then catches it, turns the corner, and scores.
Schoen just a monstrous year last year, 16 touchdowns as a rookie, 5 already this year. Winnipeg now. Still 4 minutes left. This is going to be a really good football game. Settle in for some Thursday night football here because we got a long way to go in this one. Taken by Sims. CJ Sims just outside the 35. And make sure you don't go anywhere. We've got 3 men dressed exactly the same sitting next to Kate at the half. And boy, will they have lots to discuss here, won't they?
Yeah, none of that picture, but when you take a look at them at halftime, they clearly called each other before today's.
Now, with that being said, we're also wearing black suits tonight, but we got white shirts on underneath, so it changes the vibe a little bit.
No, clearly, they called each other and just made sure they got all on the same page.
First and 10 for Edmonton from their own 37. They'll give it to Mitchell on a toss. Mitchell picking his way ahead. And a little creativity in the run game here for Edmonton. About 5 yards for Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, when you have success early running between the tackles with your tailback, then this play becomes that much more dangerous. It's a split-second reaction. The defense holds on the inside, and then you get a little bit of more room to the field.
Trey Ford 6 for 6, 32 yards. Tacking on 5 more there on the pitch ahead. Empty backfield this time. Ford throwing, and that one just out of the reach of Mitchell, his intended target. First real miss of the night for Ford, who's looked pretty steady here in the early going as we hit the 3-minute warning in Edmonton, where the Elks lead the Bombers 22-7.
We called this, right? Right?
Right. Right.
What?
All right, well, welcome back at Ask and You Shall Receive. We've got the Indigenous logo T-shirts delivered to the booth.
Now clearly you have pull in this city because you mention it, and minutes later we have them on. And listen, we're not cheering for a team. We don't do that. But this logo is pretty cool, and it's nice of them to hook us up. Way to go. You got pull.
I can't believe they got my size right. You know how rare that is? Like, this is not easy. I'm 6'5". And yeah, we got it done. Now, Bombers fans can relax. We're not going to be wearing these for the entire game.
Yes.
But that's a great logo done by the local artist that Ryan Rashad talked with a little bit earlier on. So we thought we'd give him a little bit of love in the booth.
Absolutely. And everybody welcome to a Canadian Football League game. Come and enjoy the fun. This is going to be a good game all the way down to the wire because you know the Bombers are not going away.
Definitely not. We think Drew Brown, even with Brown at quarterback, he can certainly play. Thanks to Ryan Rashad for tracking these bad boys down for us. First and 10 here on the Winnipeg 13. Drew Brown, 5 of 5 for 74 yards and a touchdown. This time they'll hand it off. Tackle broke. Line of scrimmage, maybe not even there. Read relatively well by the Edmonton defense.
Yeah, it really was, and I want to say it was Noah Curtis that steps up the field and cuts this off. Remember, Curtis was the one who forced Zach Collaros into the mistake, which you just never see from Zach. And he was in there to slow this play down, cut it off at the path, and then his teammates rally to it.
Curtis, 28th overall pick in the 23 draft. Bit of a monster. 6'6", 302 as a rookie. Brown near side. Lawler goes back to it. He's got it. Little slip and then wrapped up by Marcus Lewis. But that's the first catch of the ball game for Kenny Lawler.
Boy, what a great throw, too, to be the pressure on him. A little stunt up front. 4-man pressure. He knows he has time, steps up into it, and Lawler working back to the ball. That was what a receiver should. It's 18-yard gain, but most importantly, got him out of the hole. He backed up. That was second down.
Brown remains perfect since coming into the game in relief. Lawler at the top of your screen, working one-on-one. Five-man rush. Brown gets it away to Dembski. He's got it, and Dembski pushes ahead. Probably found enough space for a Winnipeg first down. That's the first catch of the game for Dembski as well.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is a very good team, championship-level team, great players. There's no panic in them at all. They're running their offense just like they would have in the very first play when it was 0-0. Hasn't changed anything. They'll chip away at the score.
Nick Dembski, by the way, has caught 34 of the 39 balls thrown his way this season. Here's Brown over the middle, and that is broken up. Schoen got popped by Marlon Franklin just as that ball arrived.
Well, Franklin with the big play here because it's about the timing of the hit, first of all, and he times it up real nice. So the ball hits Schoen just as he's hitting Schoen. Dalton down at the bottom there, and he's going to be right over the middle, right on this really cool logo. Franklin steps up, and he takes his helmet out of it, too. Helmet to the side, hits with the arm and forearm and left shoulder, so there's no penalty flag.
Just the third game of the career for Franklin out of Cal Berkeley. Brown, 2nd and 10. Steps up, now out to the left, on the run, looks down the field, will throw down the field, and has a completion just inside the 45. O'Leary Orange is there for a big one with 67 seconds left in the half.
How about the composure of Drew Brown here? Again, he has to wait. He escapes the pocket, but then he has to wait and wait for the scramble rules. And scramble rules are pretty simple for receivers. If you have a short route, turn it up. If you have a deep route, come back to the ball. Leary Orange had a deep route. He comes back to the ball for 23 yards and a new set of downs.
Lots of time left for the Bombers here in the second quarter. They were down 22-0. They looked for more. Brown with time. Now out to his right. Pressure in his face. He throws it away. A.C. Leonard on the prowl again.
That was a cover 2-man, and what the premise on that is that you play man-to-man on all the receivers, and then you have 2 people deep helping over the top. So Brown wanted to go vertical there. He had double coverage he would have had to have thrown it into, so a good decision. Just run around, see if you can get a guy open. If not, throw it away.
Big second down here for Brown. He's 8 of 10 for 125 and a touchdown. Got to have 10 here. 3 options wide side to his right. Oliveira stands in next to his quarterback. Brown, pressure up the middle, avoids it down the field. Incomplete. Off the hand of Lawler. Franklin couldn't haul in the interception, but that will bring up 3rd down, and Sergio Castillo with the wind at his back.
There's your intended target. And Kenny Lawler, he gets jammed in that 2-man look. That's underneath is Ed Gainey. But here's the guys over the top that almost got the pick here. Gainey underneath. He's in man-to-man. The ball has to be perfect. There's a deep defender looking for the tip.
A 53-yard attempt for Castillo, 2 for 2 from beyond 50 this year. This would be his longest, just inside the hash. And that one is good, right down the middle with more than enough leg. And the lead has been cut to 12. Castillo having an excellent campaign, 94.7%. Coming into this one, only Sean White has been more accurate this season.
Had some distance, too. I think he could have backed up another 5 and still made it. Now, he's got the wind at his back here in the second quarter.
In the pregame, with that wind at his back, he was attempting them from 67 yards. So it's a strong wind going that way tonight. Castillo takes advantage of it there with his season long. 49 seconds, and they start at their 40. Back to Brown, and it took about 5 or 6 tries, but the Bombers will eventually wrap him up on first down. sixth carry of the game for Brown. Just shy of 100 yards. Brooks has 4 carries for over 24, and then Trey Ford has 26 carries of his own. So Edmonton well beyond the 79.6 yards they average on the ground per game this season.
But you do know that the Bombers defensively will make some adjustments against that run.
2nd and 10, 4 receivers out to the right for Ford. Wants to get away up the middle, and he won't. Taken down at the 35. The big man, Jake Thomas, in there with Willie Jefferson.
A couple of plays by Jake Thomas made tonight. He's in that track stance down, and it's really just 4-man pressure, but they're now aware. See how they're not going into a pass rush move. The defensive ends and Jeffcoat and Jefferson aren't really ripping or trying any swim moves. They're just trying to collapse the pocket on Trey Ford rather than open up any type of escape lanes for him.
So 3rd down. Okay, 3rd and 15. Trey Ford in the Edmonton offense is back out there.
Well, they're going to start the clock and just kill it here.
Take this thing all the way down.
Yeah.
Trey Ford, 6 of 7 for just 32 yards, but has looked after the football and has a rushing touchdown of his own, and his team that has lost 12 straight dating back to last season and has lost 21 in a row at home, leads 22-10. Started with a big play here from Kevin Brown.
Yeah, first play of the game. And keep in mind the skid that the Edmonton Elks have been on, and to get that to start things off with the new starting quarterback, new offensive coordinator, is committed to the run. Jarius Jackson, they've been consistent with it.
Almost 100 yards already in this game for Kevin Brown. When you have a half like that, you get to chat with our Ryan Rashad.
All right, Kevin, just a massive start to the football game. When did you find out you were getting the ball on the first play? And tell me about that run.
I knew about it before we went out there. You know, they give a little preview before we go out. And about the play is either you go in front side or you cutting it back. And the guy squeezed it down, I cut it back, and it was open grass from there.
That was an energetic celebration. How did that feel to do that this early in the game against this team?
We talked about coming out with a mindset that, you know, they put their pants on just like us, you know what I'm saying, one leg at a time. Then nobody's different, nobody's special, and we got to come out physical and fast. So and that's what we did.
Appreciate your time, Kevin. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's send it back to Kate and the panel.
Best dressed panel in Canada tonight, alongside Jim Barker, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, and just like we predicted in our pregame show, we've got ourselves a 22-10 football game for the Edmonton Elks. Go ahead, rewind the tape. We said that this was going to happen. I mean, come on, it's just the Bombers, the team they haven't beat since 2018. They've lost 21 straight at home. We will get to the Elks and the performance of Trey Ford in just a moment, but first we have to talk about Zach Collaros and that hit. And this is something you just hate to see once again, just as a fan of the CFL. But Milt, do you believe that that was a late hit on the Bombers QB?
Yes, I do. Malicious, no. By no form, not malicious, but definitely late. Coney Ely had an opportunity. I think it's just a step too late, but he had an opportunity to either jump over Zach or pull up. And I know it's easier said than done when you're running full speed, you're trying to help your team get their first victory, but that right there, in my opinion, is a late hit, and it should have been overturned, and that shouldn't have been counted as a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm not going to get involved in the intent, Milt, but I definitely thought that was a late hit. We got to protect our quarterbacks. As everybody knows across the league, no matter what team you're cheering for, quarterbacks are going down like flies, and we got to look after them, especially the MOP, reigning MOP, and Zach Collaros.
Well, I disagreed with you guys on this one. I just felt like he had already committed himself. Late, Zach kind of leaped forward to do the lateral that surprised me. I thought he was going to hold on to the ball. And I just thought it was too late, and Coney was committed and hit him, and I thought it was just a football play that happens and unfortunate. Hopefully Zach's able to come back.
He's okay.
But I did not believe it should have been a penalty. I thought they called it right.
And let's look at the other side of the field now, and Trey Ford, obviously making the big change on the bye week here, and obviously with Mac McAdoo as well. But with Trey Ford, one of the problems that the Bombers have had this season is with mobile quarterbacks. He's using his legs. He's just 6 of 7 for 32 yards at this point, but he's got 26 yards on the ground, plus he's got the rushing TD. Matt, what do you think of his performance so far?
Well, this is what he does, and he played to his strengths until you figure out your weaknesses, and his weaknesses, he just hasn't been able to throw the football, get the reps behind the center. And he's playing to his strengths, yeah. But this here, I mean, a complete miss and whiff, and then he makes Willie Jefferson shut her down in open field, and as soon as I'm not catching that guy, just back off. It's incredible to watch his athleticism, and whether it's a Damon Allen, a Tracy Ham, or myself, we all started out this way. We couldn't read a defense to save our lives, and we had to pull it down and make things happen with your legs. And when you do that, good things will happen. We're seeing this happen for Trey Ford and the Edmonton Elks in this offense, and Jarius Jackson has been keeping them on a short leash, and I think that's a good idea. Just play to your strengths, use that running game, and you got that defense spread out. And that and Big Hill's in a world of hurt right now, chasing this kid around. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a good game the next 30 minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt, that Jarius Jackson has done a good job of allowing him to be successful. He hasn't felt a lot of pressure, and when he has, they have to be under control because he's so quick in the pocket, and he's so quick getting out of there. So, again, that's a problem. I promise you, they're standing on the sidelines in Winnipeg, and O'Shea is just saying, have the ball come out of his hands. He threw the one curl route, but he's not the threat right now. That's not what they're worried about. Can we stop the run? Can Big Hill step in, and because he had a tough first half, I thought, missed a couple of tackles, and can we come up and tackle those short throws?
Right. I guess the question for me is, if these Bombers can come out and start sustaining some drives and score some points, is Jarius Jackson going to have to let Trey Ford out of his locker and say, okay, let me see if you can make some plays. And I know that's tough to do because he hasn't shown that he can do that, but that may be the case. And I would love to see that because we know these Bombers are going to come out. They're going to keep pressing. Even with Drew Brown in the game, I think they have enough where they're going to keep pressing, and I would love to see if Trey Ford can get out that locker and just make some plays.
They're going to have to make some moves for sure in the second half, currently down by 12. I don't know about your lock of the week, JB.
I know.
The notorious
but I did say
JB.
It's going to be a great game.
And it has been.
That's your lock of the week, huh? Notorious JB. That's what they call it.
What a carry, what a start, Kevin Brown, down to the 10-5, touchdown! Are you kidding me? In trouble, gets away, takes off for the run, he's got a first down and more, looking for the end zone, touchdown! He's got it, Trey Ford gets home, trying to get away, stumble, throws it out, intercepted! Are you kidding me? What's happening? The Elks have blown this thing wide open!
Straight fire. Here we go. These were submitted from Jason C. Saskatchewan selects Battle of the Prairies 2013. What a connection. It's Barsick over to Kreitz. I don't know either of their first names because this is what we're dealing with currently on X, but what a play. Send all of your highlights to us. We can't wait.
Cody Fajardo has been benched in favor of Mason Fine.
This was a quarterback that was supposed to get you to the Grey Cup in a year that Regina's hosting.
I don't think it's the end of the Cody Fajardo football book. I think it might just be the end of a chapter.
Montreal Alouettes will make Fajardo their starting quarterback in 2023.
Spins away, stays on his feet, throws it into the end zone. Touchdown, Alouettes!
Cody Fajardo currently a game-time decision for this one as his former team rolls into town. You can see it on Friday Night Football. The Rough Riders taking on the Owls, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Coach Barker, you and I talk a lot here on this show, watching these games. And do you think it's a disadvantage for this game coming up? Montreal hosting Saskatchewan after a really emotional win for Saskatchewan this past week.
Well, I think it's a big disadvantage. 5 days and you're going to Montreal. So you have the time change, but you have Montreal, and you have a team going from Regina to Montreal. I do think that's a disadvantage for them. But Montreal's got problems of their own with Cody's collarbone.
That's right, and with William Stanback out of the lineup as well, Jim. Obviously, things are going to be a little different. Walter Fletcher's back in the lineup. You got Jesjuan Antwi, but if a Cody Fajardo's nicked up, he's not going to be willing to pull the ball down like he's capable of doing and put pressure on the defense. It's going to be tough. And if that puts Caleb Evans in a situation where he's got to play, he's going up against a defense that's best against the pass in the league with 230-plus yards. So, to me, I think it kind of balances out, but I know it's going to be a physical football game.
Yeah, and Mason Fine got a great start last week. I thought last week he really started to establish himself. What a great time for him to come back and show that he belongs.
Yeah, I like his skill set too, Kate.
Boys, on Friday Night Football, but we still have our game that we have to finish up between the Edmonton Elks and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Is tonight the night? Does the streak finally end? Stats coming up right after this. Time now for Stats with Milt.
Who would have predicted this? Yes, these Elks are up 22-10 on these Blue Bombers. Big reason is the running game, 145 yards. What? They may have to continue this in the second half. If they can do this, they may get their first victory at home as the Edmonton Elks.
Did you have Trey Ford as your anytime touchdown scorer?
Kate. Yes, I did.
Yeah, I saw that smile on your face reading those stats. We will get you back to Edmonton right after this.
Dr. Trey.
Well, an interesting night in the city of Edmonton with the Elks leading 22-10. Bombers head coach Mike O'Shea is with our Ryan Rashad.
Mike, you faced a big deficit early, but you pushed your way back into the game. What did you see from your club early on, though, that got you down?
Oh, I mean, they put us on us that second drive. The first one, just, a whole pile of errors. Running back goes 65 yards untouched. There's a lot of mistakes on that play. Yeah, we put ourselves in a hole. We just got to keep fighting back. This group has done it before.
Tough to see Zach go down like that. Any update on him, and how did you feel about that hit?
Yeah, he won't be back. Upper body injury. I challenged it because I thought it's, avoid all unnecessary contact. I thought he was already down. But so be it. Let's go.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
All right, so there you have it. Zach Collaros will not be back. It'll be the Drew Brown show, and Trey Ford on the other side of it. 6-7, 32 yards, and using his legs effectively on the ground as well. Edmonton will have the ball here to start the second half, which means Winnipeg will have the wind in the fourth quarter. And the wind has been gusting at different levels as we work our way through the night, and we are underway. Second half action at Commonwealth as Edmonton looks to hang on or put one away and finally snap the home losing streak. Winnipeg with different ideas, no doubt about it. But here's a look at Trey Ford in that first half.
Well, I think it's fair to say that Trey Ford did provide a spark. He came in and his body language is excellent. He's excited to be starting this football game and back in the lineup. Got a couple of really good runs. He completed all but one pass. They didn't ask him to push the ball too far down the field or anything like that. Got the run game going and were consistent with it, including him running the ball, and of course had this major in the first half, so he gets a lead. And in the stats, Dustin, I looked up the lead after the first half and what their record is. Look up the Edmonton Elks. So leads after the first half of play. Oh, it hasn't happened.
Hasn't happened. Hasn't happened. I can tell you that Winnipeg, when trailing at halftime, is 0-1. Yeah. So they've only trailed at halftime once so far this season. A loss of 2 on first down brings up 2nd and 12 for Edmonton here, and you'd like to put together a drive early for Edmonton to just sort of get your offense back on track. They need 12 yards to pick up a first down here. 4-man pressure over the middle. A completion. It'll be short of the first down as they go to Arsenault to start the half. But that will bring up 3rd and probably at least 2, maybe 3.
You saw the reaction from Chris Jones there. He kind of puts his hands up like, now it's 2 or 3. There's no choice to be made here. You got to go for it, or you got to kick it away. You cannot go for it in that situation in your own end. And it was a good tackle in the open field. Kept it 2 yards short.
4th straight 2-and-out for the Edmonton offense since they took that 22-0 lead. Julian. He'll boot this away from just outside his own 25. McCray slides over, and that one will bounce out of bounds. And Drew Brown, 8 of 11 for 125 and a touchdown, because he was brought into the game after this injury to Zach Collaros.
Well, the guys debated it at halftime. Was this a late hit or not? Mike O'Shea challenged it. It was ruled by the command center that it wasn't. The report that Ryan gave us with Mike O'Shea's comments at halftime was that he's not going to return, that it's being a further observation, and it's an upper body injury. So he Drew Brown, but he didn't look out of place in that when he took over at all.
He's had a great mentor with his time in Winnipeg.
They're going that way.
Playing behind Zach Collaros.
We have a 15-yard misconduct foul on Winnipeg number 41. First down.
Brian Cole would be Winnipeg number 41.
Well, that almost never happens. There is Zach Collaros in street clothes, so not coming back.
Stretching out the neck right there.
I'd like to see that, though. That's a good sign.
He'll watch on to see if his team can orchestrate a comeback from what was once a 22-point deficit. 1st and 10, and early movement from that Elks defensive front. Cole Nelson, I believe.
Offside. Edmonton number 55. 5-yard penalty. It'll remain first down.
You know, both teams in the first half, just 2 penalties. It was almost a flag-free opening 30.
Well, I was going to say that penalty on Brian Cole is something the Bombers never do.
Yeah.
They're the least penalized team in the league, I believe.
They are, yep. Edmonton, the 2nd most penalized team in the Canadian Football League. 1st and 5 after the penalty for Winnipeg. Brady Oliveira trying to kick it to the outside. That's what he will do, and he's got a first down, a big chunk. Takes it outside his own 35 for 15 yards.
Just a great bounce, jump cut from Brady Oliveira here, because there's containment with Curtis at the edge, and Adam Konar, see right there, he was trying to stay wide enough to force Oliveira to go into the middle. And Oliveira with a great jump cut to get outside of Konar.
Just 4 carries in the first half for Oliveira for 24 yards. That one there, his longest of the night. And getting him going would be a major concern for Edmonton. Brown thought about a deep shot down the field, and that falls incomplete. Lawler working against Gainey, and that ball comes up a tad short.
Yeah, that was the veteran Ed Gainey running with Kenny Lawler, and he gets away with a little tug here too. And what I mean by that is he's going to grab the jersey just for a second right there and give it a little pull, but not enough for the officials to even notice.
If it was enough, you know the receiver would have been calling for something right away.
He would have been.
You know, Lawler, 293 yards in his first 2 games back. 1 catch on 5 targets for 17 yards, so probably about as good as you can do against that man. 2nd and 10 for Brown now, and this play will not get off.
See who moved first.
Offside. Edmonton number 94. 5-yard penalty. Remains 2nd down.
Jake Serezna.
Get the sense there's a little bit of intensity and just I don't know, uneasy feeling from the Elks coming in with a 12-point lead, and couple of offsides. They look a little jumpy. It's just a position they've not been in the entire season.
So after the penalty, Winnipeg needs just 5. Brown looks to his left, throws quickly to his left. Dembski, it was behind him. He tried to one-hand it, but it falls incomplete and will bring up 3rd down. Dembski catches a lot, but that was a tough one.
Yeah, you mentioned the catch-to-target ratio, excellent for number 10, and now just a little bit behind him. I think he wanted to scoop it and then turn the corner and thought he could pull that off.
87% catch rate coming into this game for Dembski. So on 3rd and 5, a kick from Winnipeg. Sims, after a 41-yard kick, short return, and gets hauled down right around the 35. Kevin Brown closing in on his first 100-yard game of the year. High game this year for Brown with 77 yards prior to tonight.
Well, when he was coming into this game tonight, this was the drop-off that we noticed. He's 6.6-yard average last year, and then this year coming into this game tonight, he was at 4.7. And for a tailback, that's a lot. That's a big drop-off. But tonight, 6 carries, 95 yards, and all of a sudden, it's chill moments. It's having a little fun on the sideline, trying to stay loose.
If you include his numbers tonight, he's now at 5.6 yards per carry. That's the type of night that he has had. Watches on now. Brooks in the game and running back, and they'll go to Brooks. Brooks trying to find some room. Broke one tackle, got around Nichols, but everybody else was there, and it's going to be a loss of 1 for Shannon Brooks.
Yeah, Shannon Brooks going to talk to his O-lineman and say, hey guys, you got to get around that corner and get those lead blocks if you're pulling. Watch, this is the 2nd time tonight that he's got the handoff, and there's been one of his own guys that he's trying to get out of the way. I think it was Martez Ivy that time. Get around that corner. Put a nice block on Demario Houston, but
2nd and 11 for Ford and the Elks. Downfield, looking for a deep shot to Mitchell, and he holds it in just inside the 25. Ford to Mitchell for some magic.
Trey Ford is pumped. He drops back deep in this pocket and lets it rip. And how about the accuracy on the throw to let his receiver just run under this? And he's doubled.
Now the ball pops out and Winnipeg takes over. A fumble by Edmonton, and the Bombers defense is there to scoop it up. Some wild moments here at Commonwealth. A 53-yard bomb to Mitchell is followed up by a fumble. Where is it? Brown just dropped it.
Boy, a real accurate throw on the deep ball from Trey Ford to let Dylan Mitchell just run this down, and what a great catch to get the left hand underneath, and that all disappears in a split second when Kevin Brown, just a little bit lack of concentration. I mean, he gets hit early, but that hit wasn't on the ball. He just kind of let it fall out of his hands on his own.
Jeffcoat's first fumble recovery of the season, and that could be a huge turning point in this ball game. Brown has a completion to Bailey, gets tracked down out of bounds by Purifoy.
That's kind of the life of a team struggling. You know, you get
y'all love me. Y'all all over.
Big fumble recovery for Jackson Jeffcoat, but you know, you make a big play, and then very next play, just lack of concentration for a second, and nothing to do with Trey Ford. He did what he needed to do, and that was a chance to they put some points on the board. Yeah,
they moved quick there too. A little bit of a hurry up after the deep catch by Mitchell. They kind of moved things along rather quickly, and I don't know if it was maybe everybody not set, and Brown not with his mind in the right spot there. Now Oliveira, Brady Oliveira takes it outside the 40. More than enough than what he needed. That'll go for 13.
And good teams take advantage of those types of mistakes, and the Bombers are a good team. So then now they get rolling, and what happens for the Elks is that self-doubt starts to creep in there again. Is this happening again? Are we letting it slip away again? And that's where we talked about the veterans, Ed Gainey, Luchez Purifoy, and AC Leonard. Calm it down back there.
1st and 10 from the Winnipeg 44. Oliveira straight ahead. 6 more yards there for Brady Oliveira, who has been at the top of the list this season on the ground.
Yeah, all the major categories, 100-yard games, yards per game, and that's an important one because often the yards total is a little bit off because a running back will have a game in hand over another one, and they'll just see the total in yards, say he's leading the league, but he's played in one more game. He's got 58 yards tonight, but he's starting to see it in this third quarter. You can see the visions right there, and he's a couple of good bounces to the outside.
We said it earlier in the game, even when they were down 22, you don't go away from that guy.
Right.
And Brady Oliveira paying off here big time. Now Brown down the field, a completion in a tight window to Bailey, Rashid Bailey, with his team-leading 4th catch of the ball game.
Yeah, the Elks decide to go into a coverage look here. They're just going to go with 4-man pressure and try to drop deep and make the young Drew Brown find that receiver in the hole, but try to thread the needle through a tight window, and that's exactly what they did, and he pulled it off. That's his best throw of the night.
Best game of the season yards-wise for Bailey. 257's a new game high. Oliveira, 1st down, great push, 6 more yards for number 20 in white.
I'll tell you something else. There's something about this play faking that he's doing and give to Drew Brown that is causing some problems for the Elks defense. Their front 7. I mean, I don't know if it's that the ball is close to Drew Brown's body and they're not sure who's got it. But whether it's play action or he's actually giving it to Brady Oliveira, his ball handling skills in that junction point have been outstanding.
Brown is 10 of 15 for 152 and a touchdown, with his starting quarterback Colares watching from the sidelines. If you're joining us, he will not be returning tonight. Oliveira, look at this, Brady Oliveira bowling over an Elk defender for a few more yards, and he is eating here in the third quarter.
Yeah, it just got him off balance, and I'm not giving all the credit to just this handoff and the action, but the ball skills right here. You see how close they are, and who's got the football right now? They're not sure, so they hesitate. Seresna stays wide, thinking Brown might still have it. That opens up the inside lane, and now the secondary's got to try to take on Brady Oliveira.
Not an easy task. 1st and 10 now. Brown near side, incomplete. That kind of hit and wrapped up as he threw. And that'll be 2nd and 10.
Yeah, this is a big down. It's in the self-doubt department for an Elks team. Get the stop here and hold the Bombers to a field goal. Bombers convert here or score here on this drive, and self-doubt starts winning.
Big play midway through the third quarter. 2nd and 10. Flags on the play. Brown to the end zone. Dembski, touchdown. Dembski hangs on, but there was a flag as the ball was snapped. If it stands, it's 16 unanswered for Winnipeg.
Offside. Edmonton number 6. That penalty be declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Yeah, I thought there was some early movement at the line of scrimmage. Turns out it was AC Leonard, and as we mentioned off the top, the The Elks come out, and they look like they're a little bit jumpy. Just to the right of your screen, you can see the early movement. He's in the neutral zone, so this is a free play, and Drew Brown just lets it go. We've seen this many times. Great little corner route from Nick Dembski.
5th touchdown of the year for Dembski. Castillo knocks it home, and a lead that was once 22 now sits at 5 with just under 5 to play, and it's number 5 of the season for Dembski. Fifth touchdown of the season for Dembski. That's a big one.
I'll tell you what, this is some veteran route running. Watch how Dembski comes down in this little subtle bounce to the outside to get outside leverage so that he can continue on and run the corner route. He's going to go down, a little hop to the outside, and then now he's got outside leverage so the corner route opens up for him. Brilliant route running from Nick Dembski.
A nice throw from Brown, his 2nd touchdown pass of the ball game. CJ Sims trying to find some room and stretch it out, not going to happen. 15-yard return for CJ Sims, and the Bombers have all the momentum, courtesy this beautiful feed from Brown to Dembski to cut the lead to 5. Time now for your Coors Light moment of chill, and Trey Ford getting his first start of the season.
Early out and warm up, loosening up, told Ryan that he's going to be nervous on the first play. The first play was an over 60-plus yard run by Kevin Brown for a touchdown.
He's moved well tonight, has a rushing touchdown of his own. 26 yards on the ground on 3 carries. There's his major 9 of 10 through the air for 93 yards, 53 of those on a big chunk to Mitchell. Just prior to that Brown fumble, which then led to an 8-play, 86-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 53 seconds and led to 7 for Winnipeg. Let's see how Edmonton reacts to this. They'll hand it off. Brown, heavy collision with Alexander, but about 8 yards on that first down carry.
Well, that was a big hit. You could hear it up here. Safety stepping down. See 37 in the middle of your screen. He steps up and shoulder pad right in there. But good production on first down.
102 yards for Brown, first 100-yard rushing game of the season. Back to the sideline, they have been mixing in Brooks as well, but in a short yardage situation here, you'll see Cornelius into the game on 2nd and 1, and the lanky quarterback dives ahead for what he hopes will be an Edmonton first down. And it is.
Jay Ford's 9 of 10, 93 yards after the big throw down the field. We showed him in his runs. Now the Bombers have made some adjustments. One of the ones Coach Barker talked about at halftime was that their defensive line is a much more controlled rush right now. Make sure he doesn't escape and make him throw the football.
Elks work from their own 40. To Kyron Moore, makes one man miss, and he's off to the races. Moore down to the 40, all the way to the 30. The race is on! Touchdown, Edmonton! There's a response. Kyron Moore for 70 yards, and the Elks lead is extended.
That's a big one. It starts with recognition from Trey Ford, the play call from Jarius Jackson. to beat the blitz from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They're not hiding it. They load the line of scrimmage. They're bringing everybody. Trey Ford has a one-on-one to the outside, and all he needs is for Kyron Moore to make one guy miss, and he does, and it's goodbye. 70-yard touchdown.
Second touchdown of the year for Moore. And Faithful knocks one more through. And the lead is back to 12 for Edmonton at home.
It's all recognition and the right play call at the right time. And Jarius Jackson has that play call, or this could have been something that they recognized and did on their own. But you can see the Bombers, they're not hiding it. I mean, they're loading the line of scrimmage, saying we're bringing everybody. Adam Bighill, they brought home off the edge, and Trey Ford, all he had to do was get it to Kyron Moore. He's got the one-on-one on outside. Stop it there, guys. Now, this is one guy left to make the tackle. You don't make that tackle, it's goodbye.
Well, that's DeMario Houston, who's having an excellent season for the Bombers defensively. Just couldn't get in there to contain Kyron Moore. The speedster's able to be set free.
Excited Trey Ford is hustling down there. That was, did he just run past all the pursuit of the Bomber defenders?
First touchdown pass of the year for Ford. And now this one rolls out of bounds with 2:36 on the clock.
That's how we do it. Illegal kickoff out of bounds. Edmonton number 18. I love you, Mama. Ball will be placed at the 50-yard line.
You know, we've talked about receivers and their little competitions in yak yards. Sean Bain and Reggie Bagleton have a little bet going on. Kyron Moore is one of the tops in the league. Boy, he just added 70 to that total.
He was at 208 coming in, best on the team.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they call the gritty. I think that's what that celebration is. The kids like to do it. And Moore has been a great under-the-radar pickup. They bring in Eugene Lewis, they bring in Dunbar, they re-sign Mitchell, and then they also add Kyron Moore. And he's made a significant difference for this club. Here's Brown. Brown over the middle, and that will be incomplete, but a flag on the far side of the field. Marcus Lewis working. Kai Gray working there against Schoen. And the flag gets thrown.
This was a point of emphasis.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 26. Point of foul. Automatic first down.
Shown on the outside, just that physical play past 5 yards is definitely pass interference, right call made. So it was a point of emphasis over the last couple of weeks for the Elks.
This time they will hand it off, picking his way towards a first down, about a yard shy, 9 yards.
That's what I meant about, point of emphasis meaning that the DBs had some issues with some PI calls in their last game, and the Elks have worked on that. Different techniques to do it throughout the practice week. Kai Gray gets called on one there, and Gainey's got to go and tell him, don't worry about that one. It's the next play that matters.
You've got one guy with 11 years experience, 3 rookies, and Marcus Lewis, who is in his second season in that secondary. Prukop, now he's going to throw, and a flag on the play. This will fall incomplete. Prukop was going to try to get it to Dembski. Some trickery from the Bombers on 2nd and short.
I think Gray. One receiver out there. There's the matchup. Now, can't jam him now after this.
Ooh.
Oh, looked like he may have tripped.
Too many players. Edmonton. 10-yard penalty. First down.
So that was the penalty. Too many men against Edmonton.
I was going to say that there was no penalty on,
didn't look like
that route. Now, Elliott Brown, remember, he was injured early and left on the cart, so maybe they're having an issue with their rotation.
First down and 10 for Winnipeg on the Edmonton 25. Here's Brown with the ball still out to his right towards the end zone. Gainey working there. A gate shown and another flag. And a penalty-aided drive will continue for the Bombers.
Pass interference. Edmonton number 11. Foul occurred in the end zone. Ball placed on the 1-yard line. First down.
And an old issue from the last couple of games is creeping back into it. So that's okay. They're going to let that go. But it was the screening after just running through him. Now, he's going to say that he looked back, but you can't run over the receiver. If there's any question that is way too much contact and basically push shown down. Can argue all he wants on that one.
Pregame trying to push the Bombers a little closer, and he does. Touchdown, Winnipeg. And the visitors aren't going anywhere just yet. Third rushing touchdown of the season for Pregame since rejoining the Bombers.
Well, the too many men on short yardage, that's a big one. And then take one look, no question, it might even been offside. Edmonton looked like they creeped into that neutral zone, but that would have been declined clearly across the goal line.
Castillo knocks it through. Once again, a 5-point game as Edmonton faces some adversity. Let's send it back down to Ryan Rishaug.
All right, Dusty, what do you do when you are facing that adversity? It's a question we've been asking the Elks all season long, and it's a narrative they're trying to shake. Bottom line, when bad things have happened to this football team, they have not been able to bounce back and respond. They've let it last for quarters and quarters after that. Chris Jones talked about the fact that's something that they're trying to work on. We saw the fumble, results in a Bomber touchdown. Elks have counterpunched. Now Winnipeg again comes back. How will Edmonton handle this adversity? It's something they're working on as a group. And honestly, guys, it transcends this season. This goes back to last season. This basically has followed them through this entire home losing streak. They're in one now. Let's see how they handle what just happened.
Well, it's still a long way to go in this one. That last drive was 5 plays, 60 yards, but 50 of those yards were in penalties.
Yeah.
Can't do that against any team. Yeah. Sims at the 30. CJ Sims picks his way back outside the 45, and once again, relatively decent field position for Trey Ford, who's 10 of 11 for 163 and a touchdown in the air, and has a touchdown on the ground himself.
Yeah, handled the adjustment, saw the full blitz in the last series from Winnipeg and handled that. He can go right back to their game plan and get Kevin Brown involved again.
I mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, but Edmonton averages just 13 points per game. They've already put up 29 tonight against the Bombers with a change at OC and quarterback. Ford to his right, waits over the middle, and that one is intercepted by Holm. His first of the season comes at an excellent time for the Bombers as Holm steps in and takes one away from Ford. And the third quarter ends with some defensive fireworks from Winnipeg. They were down 22. Now they are down just 5. And after scoring a touchdown, they've taken the ball back. Welcome back to fourth quarter action here at Commonwealth. I hope you don't need to use the washroom at all the rest of the way in this one, because we've got a thrilling finish coming up here. The Bombers trailing 29-24. Elks have hit some big plays in this game, but Winnipeg's got a little bit of momentum.
Well, I like the two young quarterbacks in Drew Brown and you know, both of these quarterbacks are playing great. Trey Ford and Drew Brown, and they don't look like they're out of place at all. They're responding, and this pass here, I'm going to put 50% of the burden on this guy right here, the receiver. And after a big play from Kyron Moore, he sits on this deep out and he doesn't come back to the ball. You're going to watch him right here just turn around and then sit and wait for it to come. Now, if you're waiting for it, Evan Holmes says, I'll go right underneath that and pick it off. You got to come back to your quarterback there.
So the Bombers in business again. Start this drive on their own 46. Over the middle, incomplete. Looking for Schoen. Let's take one more look at this interception here.
Yeah, the other thing is it looked like it may have had a bit of a scheme issue because there were two receivers pretty close to each other. Stephen Dunbar is right there. That pulls another defender in it, but you see how Moore is just sitting there. He's got to take 3 or 4 steps back towards his own line of scrimmage and try and block out the defensive back in home in that case. But congratulations on his first pick of the campaign.
He was due. He's having a great season.
Absolutely.
8 knockdowns, and finally steps inside and snags one for himself. 2nd and 10. Brown down the field looking for Dembski. Purifoy there, but Dembski's got it. What a play. Purifoy runs by. Dembski turns and holds it in.
He's in good position, but this is just at the point the ball arrives, Dembski just makes the adjustment. Makes the adjustment and takes the hit.
Chris Jones is going to challenge it for offensive pass interference, I believe. Flag has been thrown, and I think Purifoy was asking for it, saying that Dembski kind of pushed him through.
Edmonton is challenging that there was offensive pass interference on the play. We'll review the play.
Well, you'll start to see all the replays that the command center sees at home. Purifoy certainly got up and signaled to his bench immediately that he felt he got pushed. Dembski's the inside receiver. That's why he's matched up on Purifoy. Purifoy turns. It's again a 2-man look. So stop it there right now for a sec. There's over-the-top help. Those are the two guys I talked about, and everybody else underneath are in man-to-man, including Purifoy. Now he's saying that he got pushed past. He got up immediately, waving his hands to Coach Jones, saying, "Hey, you can." Boy, when you look at it, you know, in slow-mo, it looked like it basically, he barely even touched him. This is going to be a good look here. You see Purifoy with the arm in there. A little bit of a push with the left hand.
You see Dembski's left hand there, kind of pushing a little bit, but that didn't seem to be very much contact.
Exactly, and Purifoy was holding him off with his inside hand, and then Dembski pushed off a little bit. I think the hand fighting was fine.
After review by the command center, the ruling on the field stands. Edmonton will be charged a timeout.
Jones is now 2 for 6 on challenges this season.
You know, I think part of why they challenged this was how Purifoy went down. It just was sort of a slight brush with Purifoy pushing off on the end of the rope.
So from the Edmonton 32, Brown, he's going to look to the end zone, one-on-one. Oh my goodness! Get out of here, Kenny Lawler! A one-handed special from 89, and the Bombers have their first lead of the ball game.
What a catch by Kenny Lawler! We shouldn't be surprised. Should not be surprised that 89 is back on the highlight reel.
This is ridiculous. Oh, this game is awesome.
What a catch.
Castillo
What a catch.
to put the Bombers up 2. That's exactly what he does. Just the second catch of the game for the former member of the Edmonton Elks, Kenny Lawler. How about that? Only needed one. Brilliant stuff. The human highlight reel that goes by the name Kenny Lawler has struck again his second touchdown of the season in just his 3rd game back with the Bombers.
Well, Marcus Lewis can't cover him any better, and think back to that Dembski corner route for a touchdown and how he used his route running ability to get outside leverage. Waller didn't get that done on this and still came up with a catch.
Sims just inside his own 20, nothing there for him on the return.
I mean, take a look at the positioning from Marcus Lewis here. He wants outside leverage and keeps it. So that Lawler tried to get him to get inside and he couldn't. So he's in absolute perfect position as a DB in a bit of a trail. Now he's got to fight low. Says, well, I only need one hand, so you can hold that one or we'll grab and I'll push you or whatever we want with that one. I'll just use the other one. Bring it in. Wow, what a catch.
Schoen and Dembski and Lawler.
Yeah.
It's a lot to handle. Still 13 minutes left. What else is going to happen? Here's Ford. Delayed draw. Scooped up immediately. Nowhere to go there. Lawson with the tackle for a loss.
I'm not sure that Lawler's going to get to 200, but he's got the 200 a couple of times in his career, and there's another guy sitting in our panel that has done that.
Look away if you're a BC Lions fan.
Yeah.
It's happened 4 of the 5 times against the Lions.
Lawler coming off the 200-yarder against the BC Lions. That was special.
4-yard loss. It was Bennett with the tackle. Now Ford on the run to his right. Jeffcoat coming after him. Ford throws it over the middle. Dunbar knocked it up in the air. And thankfully for him, it does fall incomplete.
Well, this is the time when a guy like Manny Arsenault, or when you're looking at Trey Ford, a guy like Manny Arsenault or one of the veterans on the sideline can get Trey Ford aside and say, you know, just run. Let's run the offense. Don't try and force or push because we're behind now, because it's only, you're only looking at a 2-point game here. That was a risky, very risky throw.
Julian stands on his own 15 with Greg McCrae lurking back at his own 35. Still a wind in the air here at Commonwealth. Maybe not as strong as it was earlier. This is a good kick. 54-yarder. McCrae takes it just outside his own 25 and downfield in a hurry. The Elks wrap him up. Thursday night football on TSN continues, and Drew Brown in relief of Zach Collaros is at 234 and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's been outstanding, and you know, with everything that's been going on, I mean, you don't want to go past the fact that Drew Brown has come on for Zach Collaros and looked outstanding.
Took over when his team was down 22-0. Brady Oliveira. Or Dembski, rather, I believe. That's Dembski involved there for Nick Dembski. That's his 3rd carry of the football game.
Drew, of course, the team captain back at Oklahoma State, was in the same quarterback room as Taylor Cornelius at one point. Sideline for Edmonton, but what a great game he has put together. First of all, you start to wonder, okay, will he look out of place? They were down. They had a huge deficit at the time when he took over, down a few scores. Ran the offense. They got the running game going with Oliveira and Lil Dembski, but his throws on the deep ball tonight been outstanding.
This feels like Brady Oliveira time, though, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They'll give it to him. Oliveira pushing ahead, and that'll be enough for a Winnipeg first down. Several times this year, we've watched Winnipeg get the ball to Brady Oliveira in the fourth quarter and put together 6, 7, 8, even 10-minute long drives.
Well, and here's the challenge for Chris Jones and his defensive play calling. Stephen McAdoo has switched to defense in that change with Jarius Jackson is that if you decide to load the box to stop the run, you're putting your defensive backs in one-on-one. And we've seen what Kenny Lawler and Debsky and Dalton Schoen can do if you're in a one-on-one matchup.
Fresh set of downs at the Winnipeg 46. Brown wants to throw this time. Pressure in his face, takes off of the run. Looking for that first down marker, got it. Drew Brown getting the job done with his feet. $15 yards. A flag on the play, though. And the Bombers are backing up here.
Are they backing up with a first down, or are they backing up? I'm just sorting this out, but
Before yards were gained, illegal participation. Winnipeg number 10. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So we believe Dembski ran out of bounds and then came back in to make a block. Let's see.
Yeah, he did. He comes in here and he goes out of bounds here, and then he comes back in and tries to make a block. And if you go out of bounds on your own, it's illegal participation to come back in and become part of the play again. He steps out there. He doesn't know it, but he's on the white stripe right there, and then he comes back into the field of play and he tries to get a block. So that's the penalty, and it was before yards gained.
So 1st and 20 for Brown from the Winnipeg 36. 3 to the left, 3 to the right, goes to his right. O'Leary Orange has it. And a flag right near the end of this play after a pickup of about 9 yards. Sort this one out. Wow. Rasheed Bailey.
Illegal interference, blocking downfield. Winnipeg number 88. 10-yard penalty, first down.
You don't hear that very often. Receivers, when they're all route running, he just tries to get separation, not necessarily blocking, trying to go out and set a block. He was just trying to make contact and get separation. He can't do that either. Past 5 yards.
The old classic 1st and 30 here for Winnipeg. Brown fakes one way, goes the other, gets it into the hands of McRae, and they're able to contain him. And it'll be 2nd and very long for Winnipeg to try to keep this fourth quarter drive alive.
This is the type of play where defensively you go into 3-man pressure, drop everybody, make them throw it underneath, because you've covered all the, you got an umbrella over the deep throws. You can't get too soft here defensively either, because you can, you know, you're 20 yards away from a first down, but you can throw it 12 and have your receiver make up the other 8 on his own.
2nd and 20. Brown, trouble in the pocket, escapes to his right, wants to throw on the run. He will, and he's got a man for a first down. Brilliant. Brown to Bailey for a first.
Well, containment is the issue here, and you know, a guy who's played pretty well tonight in Noah Curtis, it looks like to me he had contained. He let Drew Brown out of the pocket. As soon as he got out, now it's a free-for-all, and Bailey comes back, and finds that open area after the penalty, makes up for it.
Team leading 80 yards for Rasheed Bailey. First and 10 from the Edmonton 47. Back to Oliveira. Serezna trying to track him down, and he will. Loss of one on the play.
Let's go back to that big play by Drew Brown. And this is Noah Curtis. Again, he's had himself a real good game tonight. This is one mistake. He goes upfield. Looks like he's got contained, no question. And look how he goes back down inside to the middle. And that allows Drew Brown to escape, and now all the scramble rules go in place. And with this field being as wide as it is, he finds a target. Bailey for the first down.
Fifth catch of the game for Bailey. Injured Elk down on the field. Will step away midway through the fourth. So Purifoy was helped off. No real weight on his right leg. Jeremy Dominique into the game for now to play alongside Morgan and Konar. 2nd and 11 for Drew Brown with just over 7 to play in a 2-point lead. Pressure coming. Brown gets it away. Has another completion down the field. This time it's shown for his 3rd catch of the game.
Well, they take Luchez Purifoy out because of the injury. They put in Dominique, and you know, I think Buck Pierce will probably tell you as soon as they bring in a young guy to play that strong side linebacker, they're going to blitz him rather than have him go into coverage and try to get into a matchup with one of these great receivers. They blitz him, so they predict the play call and throw a 14-yard gain over the middle to show him.
Drew Brown getting it done in place of Zach Collaros, closing in on 300 yards. He's at 290. This time, Brady Oliveira, Dembski rather. Boy, they're mixing in Dembski a lot here in the 4th quarter.
It's the play fakes. I'm telling you, Drew Brown and the way he is handling the football, when it comes to the fakes, either with Oliveira or Dembski in the middle, you know they'll put Dembski at tailback sometime in that position, but he's just so good at hiding the football.
Second trip to the red zone today for Winnipeg. Clock ticks down inside 6 minutes.
Those fundamentals are so important. If you're a young quarterback watching, pay attention to how he's handling the ball and those fakes and those handoffs.
He's thrown for 290 and 3 touchdowns, and I think you're most impressed with the way he handles the ball. Prukop needing a yard. Ooh. Not sure he got it there. That would bring up 3rd down. And it is, in fact, 3rd down and about a yard.
There's no question what the call will be here, though. Got 2 downs to get a new set, kill some more time on the clock with the lead now, and you're in field goal range to take it from a 2 to a 5-point game.
11th play of this drive for Winnipeg. Prukop needing a yard to keep it alive. And he's somewhere in there, and it looks as though he's got it.
And that's the worst case scenario for the Bombers if you're looking at it. The best case is that they put the major on the board and now make it a 2-possession game. But 2 downs to get that a little over a yard.
No doubt about that one for Prukop, who has a touchdown in this game. And the Bombers are putting together one of those drives again. Oliveira stands in next to Brown. Dembski will be in the slot to his right. Brown, Oliveira, what a play! Brady Oliveira to the 5! Touchdown! Winnipeg extends the lead! Brady Oliveira to the end zone!
So the Elks try to fill the gaps and plug it up, and what a great call well by Buck Pierce. They're going to try and fill the gaps here, blitz off the edge so that all the gaps are taken. And what do? They get Oliveira out of the backfield, in behind all of that gap cancellation, sneak him out of the backfield, and drop a little screen to him.
Drew Brown is at 307 yards and 4 touchdown passes coming into the game for Zach Collaros when his team trailed 22-0. They now lead 38-29, and it looks like the Elks may have found another way to lose at home. Brady Oliveira, exclamation point on this one. Bombers on top. Back on the bike for Brady Oliveira. He had 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. This one his first of the receiving variety. We'll break it down in just a moment. Sims contained so far tonight, trying to stay on his feet, and he's taken down just shy of the 45, but a flag in the middle of the field.
This will move the ball back for Trey Ford. Let's take another look at this at a low angle and see. You'll see Rashid Bailey, who comes up and gets a block to get his running back a little bit of help at the very end of the run, because it's a lot of space. There's 88. He gets Ed Gainey.
Drew Brown has thrown touchdown passes to Dembski, Schoen, Lawler, and Oliveira, so all the usual suspects.
I was looking for someone like that. I think just get in, yeah.
Time no longer on the side of Trey Ford and Edmonton. Purifoy, one of their veteran leaders on defense, helped off the field earlier, now on the cart. Ford over the middle, has a completion. First down outside the 40. That one goes to Kyron Moore. Dunbar, by the way, does not have a catch in this football game.
Yeah, now they're going to have to press it a little bit more. This is a little less Kevin Brown and that kind of thing, and more chunks of yardage.
Less than 3 minutes to play in what's been a wild Thursday night at Commonwealth. Well, it's not over just yet. 3 minutes to play, but it looks like this streak may possibly be extended to 22 straight losses, and somewhat ironic that in loss 22 they led by 22.
That will make it hurt that much more if the result holds here. The score holds.
What does Trey Ford have up his sleeve here? First start of the year. Takes off, escapes from the pocket. Ford has a first down all the way inside the 50. Fourth carry of the game, another big one.
Well, all of that was good, and you have to look at 11 of 14, 179, a touchdown throw, a touchdown run, this big run. He's still fighting and clawing. That if the score doesn't change and they lose the game, he's proven something tonight.
Ford over the middle has a completion. That one into the hands of Dunbar for the first time tonight. And that will be a first down Edmonton as well, but they got to move.
Yeah, they'll call him on the line of scrimmage. Yeah, Dunbar's been real quiet tonight. That's been the last couple of games, too.
First and 10 from the Winnipeg 40. Ford gonna look for it here with Mitchell. Working against Demario Houston. Mitchell goes down. No flag on the play. Looks like their feet might have got a little tangled up. Second down.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, Dylan Mitchell tried to cross over in behind Houston, and when he did, the feet got locked up, and you'll see it in ISO here. He's going down the field, and then he tries to cut inside here on his own and just stumbles. They both do.
Ford wanted the flag. None would come. 2:26 left, second and 10 on the visitors' 40. 4 options, wide side right, pressure from the Bombers. Ford, can he escape? On the run to his left. Looking down towards the 35, sneaks inside, and that will bring up 3rd down.
But 3rd down and a chance to convert it with a lot of different types of plays. You can even go to a run here if you wanted, because of this run by Trey Ford. He's so quick, man. He's fast.
He scoots, doesn't he?
Yeah, he can go.
Be a fun weapon for a new offensive coordinator to have advantage of. So you could kick here, cut this lead to 6.
Because it's 2 score.
3rd and 2 though. Ford will give it to Brown. He's got nowhere to go. Winnipeg's defense gets the job done. That should do it.
Yeah, that's one where, you know, it's easy to after the fact, but even if you get the 1st down there, you could have kicked the field goal here. You need both.
Yeah, the wind has died down. It would have been in the rain. Faithful, they usually don't run out beyond 40 very often, but they have rather just let Trey Ford work with that ball a little bit.
Well, it was a play sort of designed to do that. I think he could have pulled it there. It looked by the action that he could have pulled it.
3rd turnover of the game. And Brady Oliveira pushes up towards 100 yards. 9 more there, puts him over 90.
There's been a lot of storylines tonight, but the biggest one in the headline is Drew Brown.
Yeah.
Without question. I mean, coming in for Zach Collaros down 22 and did not phase him at first. I just thought, you know, he doesn't look like he's out of place at all with the pressure on the road with that big deficit. But he's well exceeded the sort of not looking out of place description.
Took over when they were down 22-0. This is all on Drew Brown and the job that he's done so far tonight.
Well, it's just been the accuracy. First of all, you know, he's not shown like he was uncomfortable in the situation. Came back and threw with great accuracy and confidence. Spread the ball around too. He didn't just pick one receiver and kind of stick with him. He had some plays made by his guys down the field, don't get you wrong, and a good call there by Buck Pierce, but he has been the story. I know there's all this discussion and narrative about young quarterbacks and how this could be a big issue, and you know, I look at it differently. I think young quarterbacks can be fun to watch. We want to see new young ones develop, and Drew Brown, Dustin Crum in Ottawa. I mean, we want Zach Collaros back, don't get me wrong. It looks like hopefully he will be for next week, but young quarterbacks will be a bit of a roller coaster when they're in there.
Yeah.
But Drew Brown, he's not new to the league. He's been around right? 3 years, yeah. But this is a situation I'm not sure he's been in a bunch, and he's just come through a big way. And Trey Ford, I mean, one interception for Trey Ford. He probably wants that throw back, but I gave 50% of the responsibility of that one on Kyron Moore for not coming back to the ball, and I think he's done enough to at least earn another start next week.
Oh, I would think so. They scored points. This is a team that has not scored many points this season. Brady Oliveira already at 100. And you can tack on a few more. His 4th 100-yard game. This game kind of really turned on that fumble. Yeah, fumble. A deep shot to Mitchell. All of a sudden, you get the momentum back. You think, oh, it's different tonight. And then a fumble by Kevin Brown, which was followed up by a long drive by Winnipeg. Turned the tide in this football game.
Yeah, and that's not putting it all on one player. It's just sometimes those moments, that one moment in the game changes things. That was a 2-score lead, I believe, at the time for the Elks.
Yep.
And a deep ball from Trey Ford to Dylan Mitchell, right on the money, and then the fumble right after. Winnipeg goes down and scores.
Brown taking the knee there. set to wrap up the Thursday nighter. CFL and TSN continues all weekend with a full slate of games, beginning with the Riders facing the Alouettes at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific tomorrow night. TSN, of course, your home for CFL football. We'll be in Vancouver on Saturday for what could be a real good one. And then the Argos and Redblacks to wrap the week.
Chad Kelly's going to play in that one? Sounds like.
Looks like it. Seems like it's trending in that direction. 22 consecutive home losses for the Elks, and they do this one in style, blowing a 22-0 lead against a very good Winnipeg team. What do you take away from this one, Glenn?
Well, great teams, you know, they don't change their game plan, they don't panic, and great teams continue to work at it and chip away at leads. But the headline of that story for the Bombers starts with the play of Drew Brown in relief of Zach Collaros.
Edmonton was on top 22-0 when Zach Collaros left this game. Drew Brown comes in facing that deficit and throws for over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns in the victory. Just a phenomenal relief performance for Drew Brown, and more heartbreak for the Edmonton Elks and their fans at home. 22 straight losses at Commonwealth Stadium for a once glorious franchise. The most recent one courtesy the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 38-29 your final. That'll do it for us from Commonwealth. Sports Center is next.
Welcome to Sports Center. Join us when you. Here's Mark Rowe. I am Jennifer Hedger, and we begin with the Bombers and the Elks. And Mark, the Elks making some changes over their bye week. They've got Jarius Jackson, offensive coordinator now, decided to put Trey Ford in as starting quarterback, maybe help spark the offense. The offense scored 29 points.
Not bad.
Offense was not a problem in this game for Edmonton, but it still wasn't enough to defeat the Bombers.
And the end result was the same, though, and they're finding new ways to make this a painful season for fans in Edmonton as they were looking for their first win at home since 2019. Looking to snap.
He's had to be patient. Got a start last year, played well, then got hurt, and hasn't been able to work his way back up.
Super excited, you know. The nerves haven't fully kicked in yet, but, you know, once it's time for kickoff, they definitely will. But, I mean, I'm happy to be excited, happy to be nervous, care about the sport, care about winning, and want to lead the team to a W today.
So it's Ford's first snap, and Kevin Brown takes it all the way. This is Brown's second touchdown of the year on a season-long 65-yard carry. Elks trying to snap a North American sports record 21-game losing skid at home. Ford fired up while easing into the game. Edmonton now at the 8-yard line. As you can see, they're pretty fired up on the sidelines.
Very fired up.
Things were pretty good early on. And here on the 8-yard line, Ford takes it himself. Wants to take off. And is into the end zone. The Elks up by 15 at the end of the first, leading to this reaction from our CFL panel. Complete shock and disbelief. Elks are the only winless team in the CFL so far this season. They've lost 12 straight dating back to last year. Second quarter, more from the Elks.
Tribute tonight.
Here's Collaros under pressure again, trying to get away. Stumble, throws it out, intercepted.
Are you kidding me? What's happening? Purifoy takes it back, and the Elks have blown this thing wide open.
Edmonton's defense has given up a league-high 212 points coming in, but they force a pick six. Unfortunately for Winnipeg, Zach Collaros would be forced to leave the game with an upper body injury after the play. But the Blue Bombers cut the lead to 12.5 with Drew Brown filling in nicely for Collaros. Third quarter, Brown already with 2 touchdown passes, in line for his third, but it's incomplete. However, the Elks are called for pass interference, their third straight flag on this drive. So Dakota Prukop punches it in from the 1-yard line. Bombers down by just 5. 9 seconds of the third now. Ford is picked off for the first time in the game. The Bombers start the fourth quarter with possession, and they put it in the hands of Kenny Lawler.
So from the Edmonton 32, Brown, he's going to look to the end zone, one-on-one. Oh, my goodness! Get out of here, Kenny Lawler! A one-handed
Lawler had 200 receiving yards last week, and he follows it up with a fantastic one-handed catch to give the Bombers the lead. Of course, they would go on to win this ball game because you just watched it, 38-29 Winnipeg, improving. While the Elks win at home, or try to win at home for the first time since October 12, 2019, a span of 1,398 days. They beat the BC Lions 19-6 in that one with Logan Kilgore as their starting quarterback. He's now the offensive quality control coach for the Denver Broncos. With more on the Elks' most recent loss, here's Kate Burness in the panel.
Alongside Jim Barker, Matt Dunnigan, Milt Stegall, we are no longer shocked because the Elks lost another home game. They had a great start to this football game. We'll talk about that in a moment. But the bigger concern for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, even though they pick up the win, is, of course, Zach Collaros. Before we get to what Drew Brown did, do you think the hit on Zach was dirty, Milt?
Dirty, I don't know if that's the word, but late. Definitely late. Definitely late. Not malicious or dirty, but definitely late. I think Coney Eagley had an opportunity to maybe pull up or jump over Zach. And a lot of people go say, well, he's going full speed. Yes, we understand that, but the rules have changed, and this is a play that you have to find a way to avoid the quarterback. I don't think he was trying to hurt him, but it's very unfortunate that Zach got hurt on that play. We don't know the extent of the injury, but in my opinion, this is definitely a hit that should have been flagged.
Well, both you and Matt felt it should have been flagged. I felt it was a legal hit. I thought he was already committed, and Zach was going forward at the last minute, decided to flip it. Whatever. The injury obviously is somewhat serious, and we're hoping it's not concussion because we know what he went through with that. But again, what's going to happen from here? Well, having a guy like Drew Brown step in, and to be honest with you, I was shocked. I thought he played outstanding. Matt, if they have a guy like him, they'll just keep rolling on.
Yeah, they've been pretty content with him as a backup to Zach Collaros, and you can see why. And the rest of the league can see why. Because the young man went out there and he did his best impersonation of Zach Collaros. They didn't trim the offense down at all. They continued to just push, be aggressive, and let him play the game. And to me, that's a sign of a very confident football team. Certainly offensive coordinator Buck Pierce knows what he's got, and he cut him loose. And he threw the football down the field, and he threw it accurately. And Jim, you and I talked about that, how accurate he was on the night, and throwing from a lot of different positions. On the move, fading away, getting a lot of help from his veteran receivers, and having Dembski and Oliveira running the football and those big boys up front, they never lost. I mean, we heard Dusty and we heard Glenn Suter talk about this football team and how they never missed a beat. They didn't panic. There's no panic on that sidelines. 38 unanswered points by Drew Brown. Tip of the cap to you, young man. You went out there and did your job and made Zach Collaros and the rest of your teammates proud.
On the flip side, the Edmonton Elks, who have now lost 22 straight at home, they were up by 22. You saw that 53-yard pass from Trey Ford, followed by a fumble. Was this the most devastating loss, Milt?
All of them are bad, but yes. You think about the position they were in. Up 22-0 with the MOP going out. So you're thinking, hey, this is their opportunity. But like, as you guys spoke of, Drew Brown came in and did a great job. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, how are we going to win a game? Not only a home game, can we win a game? This is devastating because this kills your confidence. When you are in that position to win a game and you can't get it done, it's going to be tough to recover from this one.
And find another way to lose.
Find a way to lose, yeah. That's what they're doing.
And that was devastating. 22 points up. You got to feel pretty good. We saw a young quarterback, and Trey Ford showcased his abilities, and we saw flashes, and I really like what I see with this kid, and they should be excited about him. But on the one interception that Holmes cut in front of, he didn't get help from Moore in coming back to the football, but he stared it down on a half roll, never looked him off, and threw the ball late. And he'll learn from these things. Will the Edmonton Elks benefit from that? Yes, they will. Just got to give that kid time. They'll be okay.
But every time they're behind, every time they're behind, the Edmonton Elks are going to worry, oh my gosh, we were up 22-0 with the back
Their confidence is
you know what, though, at least with Trey Ford, too, he was exciting. It was a great game. I think we can say that. But exciting games doesn't mean anything when you're riding a 22-home losing streak. We'll see if they can correct that August 27th against the Red Blacks as we send it back to SportsCenter.
Thank you, Kate. New on SC. Here's Ryan Rashog with the hero for the Bombers, Drew Brown.
Well, Drew, an impressive comeback for your team. What did you sense from the group when you were down the way that you were, and what do you think allowed you to get back into that game?
I think that, this team is obviously like pretty veteran heavy. All these situations, way before my time, they've executed during these moments. And I knew that, it's one of those things, it sounds cliche, but you really do have to kind of one bite at a time, one play at a time. You got some ground to make up for, but you can't make it up in one play. So just to continuously preach, as the guys already know, one play at a time and just continue to chip away, because we're a good football team. They were long before I got here. So, I think that being able to come in and have the guys around me that I do, and a great teacher in Zach. He's been, words can't describe the things that he's done for me in my growth as a player. But I think this team, like I said, has seen so much, and you just got to come in here and try not to mess it up, for real.
You definitely didn't mess it up. You showed great composure, great accuracy. Tough to see the starter go down. How did you feel in that moment going in, and how were you able to calm it down the way you did?
Unfortunately, in this game, it's kind of one of those things that's how you get your opportunity most of the time. It's usually something bad happens to the guy in front of you. It's either he gets benched or, he gets hurt. And you never want it to be like that, I always tell Zach every game, hey, go put it on him so I get to play a little bit in the fourth quarter. But I think it's preparation. It's being, around a really good staff, some really good players that understand the plan, and that, it's you do this at some point in your career before. Like if you've ever played, you've been thrusted into a game, and it's the same thing every time. You just come in and you don't try and do too much. You just be you, and usually things take care of themselves.
Lastly, that catch by Kenny Lawler. You've thrown a lot of balls. Have you had one caught quite like that?
I honestly didn't even see him catch it. As I threw it, there was kind of someone in the way. I was kind of trying to figure it out.
Did you see a replay? Have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Well, you got to get into the locker room and take a look, because it was unreal.
It's funny because, Kenny is one of, we got 6 guys across the board that can make plays. And that's something that Zach's told me. He's like, it may not look open to you, but you throw it where you anticipate them to be, and just give them a chance to make a play. You got one of the most awkward corner balls ever thrown to the field there, and Dembski's able to kind of make a play on it. And all of our guys can do that, and we see it every day. It's pretty special to be a part of this group.
Congrats on the win. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Love you, Mom.
Mom loves you back. We'll have much more on the Elks loss when we return.
Big come from behind victory for the Blue Bombers and a big night for Kenny Lawler, who's new on SC.
Kenny, just an incredible comeback from your team here. What were you saying to one another when you were down 22 so early in that game?
All right, man. We was just saying, adversity builds character. So what y'all want to do, man? Hats off to all the guys, man. We didn't fold. We just kept going. Play after play after play. That's what we was talking about. We have a lot of time. We got many plays, so let's go after and get it, man. It ain't nothing. We've been down there. We've been here before, but it's all here, and it's all in here.
You saw your starting quarterback leave the game. What can you say about the composure that Drew Brown showed once he got settled in there?
That's just the type of man we have in our locker room, man. Guys, man, next man up. When we need you, when you get your number called, come on, let's make a play. And that's what happened, man. You seen Drew Brown, he's a competitor. All our guys is competitors, man. Y'all seen it all night, man. Down 21, we still came and got it. So, man, shout out to all the dudes up in the locker room.
Talk about making a play. You made a heck of a one in the end zone there. Take us through the one-handed touchdown.
Hey, man, the dude was just holding my arm, and it's like when the ball's up in the air, I tell y'all all the time, man, I'm going to make a play, whether it's a PI, whether it's a catch. And that's what y'all seen today, man. Y'all seen Kenny Lawler just go up and make just another routine catch.
Thanks, Kenny. Anything but routine, bud.
Hey, yes, sir. Routine. You know it.
Well, Winnipeg kicks off Week 10 with the victory. Here's the rest of the schedule with odds powered by FanDuel. Montreal looks to keep rolling as they host the Riders on Friday Night Football. Then it's the Stamps taking on the Lions, who are fresh off a 27-0 victory over Edmonton. Toronto and Ottawa cap off the weekend. Toronto is a 10.5-point home. Blue Bombers defeat the Elks 38-29. The drought continues. October 12th, 2019 was the last time that Edmonton won a game at home. That's 1,398 days. The win for the Blue Bombers just continues the dreadful start to the season for the Elks. But it was a great start for the Elks thanks to quarterback Trey Ford, who's new on SC.
Yeah, I think there was definitely some positive things that happened out there, but I mean, ultimately, I think the team really needed a win, so it's definitely disappointing. I made a couple of misreads, and I turned the ball over. You can't win the game if you're turning the ball over, so I'll take blame for that for sure.
Where did that start from Trey? I mean, we haven't seen anything like remotely close to that this year.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think KB gave us a really big spark. I know he's probably a little disappointed with his fumble he had. I think everybody's looking themselves in the mirror right now. But I think if we do come together and play a full game of really good football, protect the ball, don't turn it over, like, I think we can beat anybody.
Did it feel different? I know this was your first game of the season.
I mean, yeah, it definitely felt different for me because, I mean, usually I was just watching, right, versus being out there and playing. Like I said, it's not the outcome we wanted, but I did have fun when I was playing out there, which is always a positive. I feel like I'm happy that I get to go to work and I enjoy my job and having fun.
Winnipeg's at the top of the division for a reason, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, I mean, their team, they have a solid team, like every position. They're good everywhere, and I mean, happy that we could go out there and compete, but definitely wanted to win.
Where do you think it got away?